Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is The Black and White Show.
Hello everybody, welcome to The Black and White Show. Have we got a mammoth video for you tonight? Get your WhatsApp coming in as usual, 0747 649 7166. I've actually remembered it off by heart. That's how it only took a few months, mind. I've obviously
well done.
Well, hey. We've also got, as you've just seen, we've got the Brummy Sam. How are you doing? He's not speaking now.
Incredibly exhausted. How are you?
I'm not bad. We'll come back to that later. You've had a baby. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And Johnny, what's happened to you? Where's he been?
I don't know. Just the stress of this takeover is just taking its toll on me, I think.
You were starting to look like Mo and Ali last week.
Well, I wouldn't mind being the same cricket ability as Mo and Ali. He's a good spinner. I used to be a spinner at uni, but we'll talk about football.
Yeah, please do. Otherwise, we'll get me and Paul upset. Right, in today's show, we are talking about, in this section, first section, we're talking all about the past 7 days of Newcastle, and that's ranged anything to do with the World Trade Organization, all the way down to Danball Laser. There's a mixture in this section. Later on, I'm going to be joined by Kyle and Paul, and we're going to be talking about the two friendlies, who missed out, who played well, the goals, we'll get reactions, stuff like that. And then the third section, we're going to bring Rob, and I'm not sure, I don't know if Kyle's coming into that one or not, but we'll find out later, is we're going to be looking at the top 10 championship picks where Newcastle might dip into as well. We've got loads of clips as well from an interview with Chris Waff and Les Ferdinand, which made the Chronicle of the day, which was always good. Lads, we've got to jump straight to it. The takeover. There's still no word on the takeover, Sam. However, the World Trade Organization, we've seen this today on the Andrew Marsh show, that they're set to release a few bits and bobs about the Saudis. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, it's all to do with this piracy issue, which is the make or break of it, really. All the journalists we spoke to over this lockdown period have said that the human rights isn't going to be an issue. It's going to be the piracy issue that's going to make or break this takeover. This WTO report that's coming out, there's rumours that the Premier League have had a sneak peek of this, but whether that is actually true or not, we don't know. It's all got a bit messy and it went a bit quiet, and then it just, again, no one really knows what's going on, do they? But what can you say that hasn't already been said? We're just kind of waiting on that news and praying that it does get given the go-ahead, because, like I said from the start, it's now or never.
Interestingly, though, Johnny, that the NUST said that the Premier League haven't blocked the takeover when they wrote to them. It was Bill Bush? Is that how he's called? Apologies, I've got that mixed up. But the Premier League say it's still on effectively to the NUST.
Yeah, I think what something maybe Sam, I don't know if Sam's seen it, but what the Premier League have done is they've written to these potential new owners just to ask them a few questions. And the piracy is one of the biggest questions about this takeover deal. You know, we've spoken to John Cross, Henry Winter, Luke Edwards, Chris Watt, the list goes on. They're all saying the same thing pretty much. But these questions are very, very important because, again, like Sam says, it's a make or break. It really is. But from what you can hear in the last week or so, last 10 days, it's very much encouraging that they're trying to find out the best way possible of trying to deal with these issues, i.e. the piracy. beIN Sports are a massive global company, and when the Premier League hasn't got enough money, they need to keep a hold of their contracts in terms of television rights, and they don't want to take the mick out of them if they go with the Saudis, but they want to try and find a common ground. I think that's what both parties are looking for.
Yeah, we've seen a great comment there by Brandon, who's a member of both with Facebook and YouTube, who's been on the show a couple of weeks back, and he said if we haven't heard nothing from now, surely it is going to go through, which is a very valid point. So thank you very much, Brandon. Keep your WhatsApp number coming through, your numbers, your messages, and your live chat, of course, as well. You can see the tick at the bottom. We'll be reading your WhatsApp out probably towards the end of this first section, but I'll give you as a reminder halfway through. I just want to touch upon, because I've seen a few people do this, and YouTubers and the social media and also the local press have brought up Amanda Staveley being in court and her fight with PCP versus Barclays. But Johnny, I'll come to you with this. Has this got anything to do with Newcastle? Because I'm scratching my head thinking it's not Newcastle related, this.
It might not be Newcastle related, but it could be Newcastle related if Amanda Staveley does take over, which everybody seems to expect. The case that she's got against Barclays is a massive case. It's been something in making in the years, really. It's a lot of money. I think it's roughly 1.6 billion or 1.6 million rand. I can't remember. I would imagine it'd be billion, but who knows? It's a lot of money that she wants off Barclays for numerous reasons. I'm no lawyer. I'm no lawyer. I don't know the ins and outs of the case, but Amanda Staveley's been put into bat, if you like the cricket reference, in terms of being in court, and she's probably found it a little bit difficult. But who wouldn't? 5 hours, 6 hours in court, asking very difficult questions in very difficult circumstances, in terms of all the pressure being on her. I think she would probably prefer questions from Newcastle supporters. I think that would probably be a lot easier to answer. But this could take weeks, and it's a bit probably frustrating for her, because she probably expected the takeover to be done before anything like a Barclays court case or organisation putting a report out, which I think is meant to be either the end of next week or the end of the week after. But it's crucial times for her and the company as a whole, really.
Johnny's got cricket on the mind. Hopefully we'll not be too creased at that. So, moving on. Mr. Chris Waff. So, Sam, get your fingers ready. Chris Waff believes that the piracy rights is the only thing that's holding this up. This is what he said.
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
I think it is down to the piracy rights. I'm not going to pretend that I know the exact ins and outs that are going on in the Premier League. I think that there's been some people who've probably overplayed in terms of what they do know specifically that's going on there. Now, early on, what it was outlined to both sides, is in the buyers and the sellers, that this process usually takes 2 to 4 weeks. Now, obviously, we're more than double that sort of period, and so that has caused a lot of confusion. I know there's been a lot of anger among Newcastle fans who've said that's been reported to what it was. Well, that was the facts as they were laid out to them, but there is actually no set time limit for how long the process takes. It's been said to me that this is the most complicated and complex takeover they've ever had to deal with, primarily because of the issues surrounding alleged piracy, and basically the part of the issue is that the owners and the directors test. What you have to do is you have to put forward who are going to be the prospective directors of Newcastle United. Now, some of them obviously are coming from the Saudi PIF, Public Investment Fund, and it's whether there is a direct link between the Saudi PIF and those people who are being put forward and piracy, or whether there is enough separation for that not to be an issue. This really is a significant problem for the Premier League in terms of the way piracy has been in the past. beIN Sports are their big contributor in the Middle East and North Africa. They pay, I think it's £500 million over 3 years. They've been their long-term partner, and the Premier League have actually essentially gone into bat for them in a lot of court cases in the past, including tried to set some up in Saudi Arabia and been unable to. So for them, they're in a sort of difficult position, because the Premier League, the large reason why they've been so successful is their TV rights, and they have to be seen to be protecting their broadcasters, but at the same time, they don't necessarily want to reject a deal outright unless they have the basis to do so.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is the Black and White Show.
And we'll also be hearing from Chris Waff a couple more times in this section. So he just thinks it's down to the piracy rights, as Johnny has decided to leave us with his audio issues. He will be coming back, so don't worry. Sam, are you ready for some empty stadiums? Are you ready for some fake noises, Sam?
I am. Well, I am and I'm not. Johnny, can you hear us
I
now?
can hear you perfectly.
Are you back? Are you back with us?
Yeah.
Fantastic broadband. The crowd noise situation, I'm not a fan of. I want to hear, as I've seen a few comments on Twitter this week, I want to hear Machi. bellowing out orders, and I want to hear the kind of nuances that you don't normally hear with 50,000 screaming. I'm actually quite looking forward to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, after the first couple of games it might be horrendous and I might turn on the canned crowd noise just to see what, for a bit of variety. But no, I'm quite looking seeing what you would kind of hear, that it's basically going to be like a game on the training ground, wouldn't it? So I want to hear what's going on between the players. I want to hear the conversations with referees. I want to hear the instructions from coaches. That's what I'm quite really looking forward to.
I think Sam's internet's just as bad as yours, Johnny.
Get in. Thank God someone said that. I thought it was just me.
Thunderstorm, thunder and lightning here in the Midlands.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Sam. I missed that.
Fake noises, Johnny.
Funny.
You've seen, I think you've watched one or two Bundesliga games where it's been quiet. Now every single Bundesliga game has noise. So where do you stand on it?
I'll be honest with you. The first game I watched was the Dortmund versus Schalke game, and I turned off after 20 minutes. I just couldn't get into it, really. But I watched the Dortmund game yesterday, in which Haaland scored a last-minute winner, and I kind of could get into it, even though it was what you call fake noise. It was still something that you could, I don't know, maybe resonate with, and that you could potentially get involved with and get along with. But no, I actually enjoyed yesterday. I did enjoy yesterday. But I agree. I think if Newcastle are playing, I'll probably try one game with the noise and one without and see which one I prefer. But I think with the other Premier League games, like, for example, you look at this time next Sunday, I think Liverpool are going to be playing Everton. I think you need that crowd noise because it is missing a derby atmosphere. But if, say, Burnley are taking on Watford, for example, I don't think it really makes a massive difference. But look, I'm just loving the fact that this time next week we'll be talking about Newcastle potentially, hopefully, winning a game of football against Sheffield United.
Yeah, Brandon, Sam, if you can get that back up for us again. So Brandon sent in £5. So thank you very much for Brandon for that. Super sticker. Thank you very much. Support us across our memberships, YouTube and Facebook. And since I'm talking about that, hey. Our Facebook members, you get loads and loads of videos from us three, plus Kyle, Paul, Rob, Owen as well. So there is a little bit more if you want to get more videos, Facebook membership. Just go on with Facebook page and you'll see it. You cannot miss it at the top. And with YouTube membership is a little bit more where it's just videos only. When you get first look, you get exclusive videos to yourself as well. And there are some of our fantastic membership programs. So feel free to get involved in that. Now, I also asked Chris Woff, didn't I, Sam, about what's it like reporting and being in an empty stadium. And this is what he said.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is The Black and White Show.
It will feel strange, certainly to begin with. I suppose we all will get used to it as a quote-unquote new normal, as everything seems to be being called. But I suppose that the issue I've had with some of the Bundesliga games, when it's not been, say, Bayern Munich or Borussia Dortmund, is it's almost like no context football. When there isn't the fans there, it's sort of difficult to get... When there's nobody there getting excited about it, really getting into it, it's sort of a little bit difficult. And as you say, it does feel like an under-23 game or a training game. But certainly for Newcastle matches, for Newcastle fans and for me as a journalist who covers the club, with that sort of vested interest in it, I think that we probably will be able to get beyond that a little bit. Certainly it'll feel strange and it won't feel the same for matches. And I'm interested to see, say, for the likes of Alan Saint-Maximin. Now, there's been a lot said about players such as maybe Joelinton. Will he thrive without a crowd? But what about someone like Alan Saint-Maximin? Yes, he'll still be on TV, but the crowd really gets going, really gets behind him when he's on the ball. If they're not there, is he going to be the same sort of thriller minute you see as a player? I'm just interested to see how it does impact on those players in and around the team, and whether we see sort of different performances from them.
You're watching The Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
So that was Chris Woff's feelings on it from a reporter's point of view, because he'll be very close to the pitch, and you would imagine that he'd be able to see or hear what people are shouting. Chris Manning, who's also a member, said La Liga's coverage is good with virtual fans. It's a good point, that, isn't it, Sam? Because Sky Sports are going to give the option as sort of like sit in a video room. So, for example, us three could be in this, like a room like this, and watching the game. Do you think that's a good idea by Sky?
Oh, it'll be like I'm up in the northeast with you both, like I should have been for three of these games. What a treat that'll be. Yeah, I mean, it's just an innovative way of making the best of a bad situation, isn't it? Sky are obviously at the forefront of that, as you well know, Lee. It's one of them. So it's not for everyone, but it might be interesting to try it for one game. Who knows? You might like it.
You may as well try and see if you do or don't. But got to get on a little bit of a heated topic, which is we're moving on now to ticket refunds. Still, and we're at the middle of June. We still haven't heard nothing from the club about ticket refunds. Obviously, me and Johnny are heavily affected by that, but we keep bringing this up every week now, Johnny, and it's the middle of June.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, very, very frustrating. I think we're the only club in the Premier League that haven't had any communication. And I think that's the biggest point in the whole of this, is the communication. There is no communication from the top of this football club or any part of this football club for any of the big talking points. Look, I know they're stuck on the takeover because there's a lot of confidentiality in that. However, there is just absolutely nothing in terms of ticket prices. Even if they just came out and said, look, because of the situation that we're in, because of a potential takeover of a football club, we cannot say for sure what is going to happen because the previous owners might have different views to the next owners of this football club. Even a statement, something as short as that, would be so good just to hear. Because and then it kind of goes, well, at least they're acknowledging what the issue is, or acknowledging that fans are losing money for games that they can't physically go to. I bought 3 tickets for the Manchester City game. That's £45 down. You know, I could do with £45. I'm sure anybody else could do with £45. It's just very, very frustrating, very, very infuriating. But I'll tell you what it would be if these new owners were to come in the next week or two and say, look, if anybody's bought a ticket for the cup game, when we'll look at season tickets in a later date, but if anyone's bought a ticket for the cup game, you get your money back. And just that would be one of the best starts ever because you've already got the majority of the fans on side straight away.
It is going to be tough to refund because you think about how many people. It's going to take a long, long time to process. But even like you said, Johnny, every single Premier League team's done it, bar us, and the kind of like we seem to be talking about this every week because it's becoming more and more of a bigger problem. And the NUST, of course, have asked the Premier League to get involved and intervene now because it's, you know, we need a voice, and Newcastle United Supporters Trust are the only official one that we can rely on, and it's become a lot of serious matter. And Sam, when do you think, as Johnny decides to leave us once again, when do you think it'll be a resolution?
Probably when the takeover is done and dusted. That's the only chance you've really got for a resolution. I think the current ownership are hiding behind the mystique of this takeover because they're not stupid in a business sense. They're incredibly what's a polite way of saying fucking ignorant? So I mean, they're fully aware of their poor communication, and there's no doubt in my mind that they are just hiding behind this because they can. To be fair, it has dragged on longer than anyone would have thought. Obviously, Staveley's been in court the last few days. It resumes on Monday. The plan was to have this takeover done and dusted long before that court case started. So, look, the only losers in this is the supporters, as it always is. I mean, I'm fortunate because the only money I'm owed is, you know, sat on Lee's, you know, studio desk with the City ticket. But the likes of you pair, that's it's proper money that you're owed, and there are many out there that are in the same boat. It's not on.
It isn't on. And get your WhatsApp in how you feel about that. It's 0747 649 7166. I'm going to be reading your WhatsApp out in about 15 minutes. If you've got any questions for me, for Sam or Johnny, fire them across, and you'll keep seeing the number appear on screen at the bottom of your ticker, and also Sam will highlight it with a big banner as well. But I wanted to touch upon the next thing, which, well, actually, no, Chris Waff had something to say about the season tickets holders, and this is what he said about it.
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
Many Newcastle fans who I'm sure unfortunately have either lost their jobs or been furloughed or in difficult financial positions given the onset of coronavirus, and they are worried because they've had to pay ahead for these games that are happening. The Man City game, people have paid for that in the FA Cup as well, obviously ahead for next season, and at the moment they haven't heard anything from Newcastle United. My issue is, look, it would be great if Newcastle could come and say, we are giving a refund or we are offering this because Newcastle fans deserve that. But because they're given the situation with the takeover, maybe they are waiting to see for prospective owners. That's a decision where they deal with those financial issues. But there could just be at least be an acknowledgement of the fact that none of the games are now going to be at St James's Park. We've had the fixtures released this morning, and Newcastle have basically confirmed that fans won't be there. But nothing within that about, in due course, we will explain to you what is going to happen with your season tickets. And it's just that lack of even acknowledgement, lack of communication. The trust, the NUFC trust, got in touch last week, wrote a very strongly worded letter to Managing Director Lee Charnley. They still haven't heard anything in that regard, and it just almost feels like they've been forgotten about. I mean, they're sending out emails over the last few weeks, sort of like back in action or back in black or whatever it was, and Alan Saint-Maximin is doing this, or Christian Atsu was going to be on YouTube the other week, and yet fans are having their money taken from them, or they don't know what's going to happen from their money, and there's been no acknowledgement of it. So it is a communication, and unfortunately that has so often been the case during the Mike Ashley era, as the issues become far more complex and people just create their own truths from it because there is no direction from the top.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is The Black and White Show.
I'm expecting Johnny to leave us any second soon.
No, not this time. Not this time.
Oh!
Yeah, so as Isha's just said there, please keep your WhatsApp coming in. We'll be reading them out towards the end of this first section. And as I say, in the second section, we're actually going to be talking about some football for a change with Kyle and Paul. And then later on in section 3, we'll be looking back. Oh, there he goes, into the championship as well. He's spoiling when you look. Come on, man, Johnny. Sort your act, dude. Oh, bring him back in again. Here he is. Honestly, man, spoiler when you look and everything, the way these are.
Do you know what it is, right? I heard you perfectly, and then about 5 seconds later, I heard nothing else. It's like, I'm sick of this. I'm absolutely sick of this. It's like, in cricket terms, this is a hat trick. It's awful.
Someone's stolen your broadband. That's what it is. Right,
Okay.
moving on to some positive stuff. Dan Barlaser is rumoured, and I've seen this today as well, that he might be included, well, as a backup for the first team for the rest of the season since the new law change came in. But also there was a couple of reports saying that he might be part of the squad next season, get offered a contract. Of course, if he gets offered a contract, where's Matty Longstaff, of course, he's just admitted that he's had his best career and he feels better, and he obviously he still plays as that quarterback role, very similar to John Joe Shelby, and obviously Rotherham do want to keep him on, and now they're in the championship next season. It's what do you do with him, Johnny?
First thing says congratulations to Rotherham, because League One's a very difficult league to get out of. So congratulations to them as well. No, in all seriousness, it's a great thing for Dan, really, because he's played 2 seasons in a tough division. Because don't get it wrong, as a young lad going into League One, you're playing against men, essentially, and you're playing against the best of the best in terms of maybe at the ages of maybe 18 to 21, and you've got the experienced pros that have had their times in, say, the Championship and maybe even the flirt in the Premier Leagues. So it's a good level to be at. And look, yes, the season hasn't finished, but Rotherham are always in or in about still automatic promotion places, so there might have been a chance they would have gone up anyway. But for Dan to get that boost to go, well, guess what, you're going to be with the first team from now to the rest of the season. Let's see what you can do. And I think he'll get chances. Look, I fully expect Newcastle to be safe this season. So if you look at the games, maybe, I don't know, off the top of my head, Watford, Brighton, Aston Villa, West Ham, there's 4 games straight away that you could go, well, we'll throw you in there if we're safe. Like if we beat Sheffield United on a week today, I think we're pretty much safe as it is anyway. I'd like maybe 5 points from now at the end of the season. But for Dan, it's fantastic. My only worry is if Dan's getting more game time or looking to get more game time, where does that leave Matty? Because you look at Matty Longstaff at the minute, and you know we're June the 14th. We're just over 2 weeks away from when his contract actually runs out. Everyone is stuck in limbo with that one. The club, the potential new owners, Matty himself. You know, what do you do? I think, can you not just sign a short-term 1 month extension, even if it's still on the same money he's on, just for that extra month. But who knows? But I'd like to see Dan given a chance because he's always been highly rated in the academy. Lawrence
is not a fan of Dan Barlaser. Well, I am, because I get any 29 shoved in my face every single day. And I will hang on to Dan Barlaser with dear life, because he went to school with my brother, and I will hang on to that. But that was a good comment, Sam. Can you bring that comment up again? You can answer that as well about the takeover. It was a question for us as Johnny was speaking. Bravo Mo 1982. Thank you very much for your donation. Sam, please answer the question.
Should we turn against the Premier League? I mean, it sets a very dangerous precedent, whatever the outcome, if they reject the takeover. I think it would definitely be the most, well, it might even be the first rejection of a takeover. And where does that leave us? It leaves us up the creek without a paddle, with an owner that's not interested, as we all know by now. It's been 13 years, and seemingly no way out of it. Should we? I mean, what do you do against the Premier League, really? How can you go about such a thing? I mean, the test is there. No, you can't. I mean, the test, it is what it is. I mean, they're going to look pretty stupid if it does get rejected when we're trading billions of pounds with, government to government. I retweeted a tweet from one of our cabinet ministers today. Yeah, with the donations to the NHS and whatnot, so they can't be all bad. It's just this piracy issue. It's what these journalists have been saying all along, that this is the only issue in the whole thing. The rest is a footnote.
Money talks, though.
It does. Money talks. I don't think we'll go against the Premier League. I think it'll be quite. We thought was volatile, hostile last year with Arsenal. I think that'll just boom. That'll go up another level if the takeover doesn't go through. But if you want to get your obviously takeover questions in, of course, the WhatsApp will be coming shortly. So Sam will get that on screen for you shortly. But I want to touch upon Paul Dummett, because unfortunately he's missed out, and it looks like the Premier League are not going to be changing their 25-man squad rule. Granted, you can use the under 21s, under 23 players. A really case of bad luck for Paul Dummett, but also, Johnny, it means that Danny Rose is now going to play, you would think, for the rest of the season. And Danny Rose really needs to get fit and starting to impress, because is his future at Spurs, even if it's not in Newcastle, he needs that next move in his career.
I don't think his future's at Spurs. Does he see himself long-term at Newcastle? I don't know, to be brutally honest with you. I think he does need to improve his performances at Newcastle. Like, I was watching England versus Wales in the Euro 2016, and he hasn't really changed in terms of the type of player he was 4 years ago to what he is today. He got to a certain point and kind of goes sideways, which Owen's mentioned in previous videos as well, as much as Paul has as well. But yeah, it is a big couple of months for Danny Rose. In terms of Paul Dummett, I do feel for him. But I see Paul Dummett as a centre half now. I really do. I think he can play left back if we need him, if we need to rely on him. Similar to Kieran Clark. Kieran Clark's done a job at left back. Matt Ritchie, yeah. The list goes on. We even had Jack Cole back at left back, Steve McLaren's here, so that tells you what we've had at left back over the years. But no, in all seriousness, I do feel for Paul Dummett. But realistically, if you look at the 6 central defenders we have at the minute, he's 6th choice. If we're being brutally honest, I would say at the minute you look Clark, Fernandez, Lascelles. If you're playing a back 5, they're the first 3 on my list at the minute. Fabian Schär is a bit unlucky to be maybe 4th or 5th choice because he's highly rated across the Premier League. And then at least you're Florian Lejeune, who people would probably say is the best centre-back at Newcastle. So if he's struggling to get a game, I know some people will disagree with Lejeune. I personally think if you look at this season, I'd probably say Kieran Clark's probably been the best centre-half for Newcastle this season.
I'd agree.
Me and Kyle have this argument a lot.
No, I'm with Kyle on this. Clark and Fernandez have been the best 2 centre-backs this season.
Sam, let me ask you a question, right? Kieran Clark, how many bad games has he had in the last 3 seasons?
1. No, Forest
you can't last 3 seasons, please.
Well, you can't count them on one hand, can you? Whichever they are. You can't count them on one hand.
No, but the thing is, especially the first season of the 3 you're talking about, the centre-back pairing when Rafa played for 4-2-3-1. The centre-back pairing was Lascelles and Lejeune, so Clark wasn't really getting a look in. Clark wasn't getting a look in the season after, and then Lejeune was just class in that back three last season. The only problem with Lejeune, which is why we aren't in agreement about him being the best centre-back at Newcastle, is because he had a mad injury at the end of last season, and he was introduced back at a terrible time, got chucked in, made some horrendous mistakes, wasn't looked after at all. Now he's had a proper, almost like a proper pre-season again. I'd have no qualms about putting him straight in. I know Fernandez and Clark have been great. It's not a slant against them because they've been fantastic. But Lejeune is the best centre-back at Newcastle United. If it wasn't for his injury record, he'd be at a top 6 club.
Well, we'll agree to disagree, I think, because we all have our own opinions on who's the best. But it's a great choice, and it's a positivity because we haven't had great centre-backs in my time at Newcastle, and that's going back since '95. So, go on, Johnny.
Who would you have? No, I was just going to say, Lee, who would you have? I'll be nice to you today. No, but Lee, who would you? It looks like we're going to be playing 4 at the back against Sheffield United this week, right? For me, I would want, if it was just down to me, right on form, and who probably warrants to be in the 2 centre halves, it has to be Clark and Fernandez. And I rate Lascelles highly. I rate Lascelles very highly. But Clark and Fernandez at the minute are the 2 best centre backs at Newcastle.
I think you'll go with Lascelles because he's captain. He'll play, and then it's who plays next to him. I think Fernandez is probably, if we judge it on since the new year, you would say Fernandez. But we'll see. We'll talk more about that in the preview because obviously Sheffield United's next weekend. Let's switch it back to kind of like a takeover. Les Ferdinand, obviously, I was given the shock of my life the other day. Thank you very much to Sam and Rob and the rest of the gang who pulled that off. But we did ask him a cheeky question about if he would love a return in Newcastle in a director football role. And this is what he said.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is The Black and White Show.
I had Warren on a few weeks ago, and he was throwing your name out to be director of football at Newcastle. Do you fancy it?
I mean, I've got a job to finish here at QPR, and I said, when I went here, I said I wasn't going to QPR and trying to cut my teeth in the role. I've gone there to do a job, and the job's not completed yet. I love Newcastle United. I had a great time there, but I want to finish what I'm doing at QPR before I look at doing anything else. And at some stage, I'd love to be back involved in the club if the opportunity came about. But at this moment, like I said, I'm still very much committed to what I'm doing at QPR.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is The Black and White Show.
He left a massive door open there, mind Sam, didn't he? If the opportunity arose, that was the big bombshell for me, is that if he wasn't at the job at QPR and offered him a role at Newcastle, he'd be straight up there, wouldn't he?
Of course he would. He has such a tremendous affiliation with us, doesn't he? And he was being as respectful as he could about QPR as Johnny goes again. And he just didn't, it was a professional answer with a kind of tinge of, yeah, I bloody love it. Let's not get it wrong. I mean, what we should really talk about whilst we're on Celez was this time last week where we were sat here and I was checking my phone because he was going to be appearing live on the Black and White Show. Unfortunately, he couldn't.
I got saying he was coming on.
Yeah. So, I mean, 5 minutes after we went off air, me and Lee were talking off air. I get a message off Celez saying, yeah, I'm free in 10 minutes or so. So I had to try and trick Lee to come back on a stream and so we can record it. He had no idea what was going on. And then boom, his hero, Celez, facing him. So yeah, that was good.
Well, we all seen that, and I thought you would just set me up to go for an interview in a TV show. That's what I thought it was. But Johnny, what would Les Ferdinand bring to the role? Is he qualified though? That's probably the golden question.
I would say so. I think, look, you've got to start somewhere after football to try out the profession you want to do in terms of director of football, manager, coach, what agency, whatever you want it to be. and he's been at Queen's Park Rangers for a couple of years now. Look, QPR aren't the club what they were a few years ago in the Premier League. They were splashing out money left, right, and centre on absolute rubbish. If we're being brutally honest, they've had to scale back. They've had to look at younger talent. And, you know, there's a couple of players, I don't know if you're going to mention Eze, but he's obviously one that's been linked with a lot of Premier League clubs. In terms of Les on trying to get a bigger job, essentially, I think he's more than qualified for the draw at Newcastle. I think it would be a fantastic project. He would sell Newcastle very well. You know, he knows what it means to play for Newcastle. Even though he was only there a couple of years, people still talk about today. And he left the club, you know, 97. So you're talking 20 odd years ago. Nearly left the club 25 years ago. So look, he knows what it means. I'd give him a chance, and I think it'd be another good move by any potential new owner, because they'll get more fans on side. Sir Les can go, right, this is the sort of thing they like. This is the sort of thing they don't like. You know, anything like that can really help. But it's not just Les Ferdinand who we could be trying to get involved. We should try and get more people involved. Like how Alan Shearer and Kevin Keegan don't get more of a say at Newcastle United in terms of any sort of role is beyond a joke for me. They're two people that love Newcastle, bleed black and white, and should have more of a role. And Celeste is certainly in that category that you'd want making, you know, beneficial decisions for the future of the Newcastle United Football Club.
Paul's in the live chat. He's just dropped a massive bombshell that we've got some breaking news coming up. Is that Paul's in the next section? That's the breaking news. Sorry, folks. It's not quite Les Ferdinand, but you'll have to deal with that Yorkshire man, Paul. You'll not like me for saying that. We need to end this up with Sam with a bit of great news about yourself, a bit of positivity. A massive congratulations is in order from everybody here at Newcastle Fans TV. And I'm sure the comments will give you lots of praise as well. They have the past week, I've seen that. But how are you feeling? How's the little one? How's Kelly?
How am I feeling? Fucking tired, mate. It's been a mad week. Yes, I now have a daughter to go with my little toddler son. It's great. It's brilliant. Thanks everyone for their messages and well wishes. It's great. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like I'm too tired, because I mean, there's only one dominant species in this human race, and that's the female. The wife's been unbelievable.
Because Kelly's there in the room.
She's not. No, she's downstairs. So yeah, she's been unreal, and she's had less sleep than me, and she's still going and not making a big deal of it like I am. So yeah.
And what's the little one called?
Lucy.
Nice name. Any reasons?
Do you know what? My son Charlie came up with it, and we couldn't think of anything better.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And are you planning to have any more?
No.
Johnny,
he's done now, Lee.
Johnny, are you
done now? Oh, not soon, mate. Not soon. I'm not as old as Sam, but no. In all seriousness, you know, massive congratulations to Sam's family. But he did Lee. It was his wife that did everything. You know what I mean? She did the tough bit.
Sam just done the driving, didn't he? But yeah, like I say, Sam, massive congratulations. It's not every day that you have a little one running around. Well, not running around yet. Maybe in 12 months. But what we'll do now is we'll move over to your WhatsApp. I've just checked. We've got a few coming up. I hide a couple of names there with your numbers. Hence why I was just trying to ask Sam one or two questions there, but we'll bring up the WhatsApps now as I start loading that up. Again, if you want to get your messages read out, please send in a second section where we'll be talking about the two friendlies. And this one's from an Israel fan, which is fantastic. Newcastle Fans TV, going all the way around the world. Supporting Newcastle since 95. Ferdinand was his hero. He just wants to say that you guys do a great job, and that kind of echoes myself, maybe even 40 friend in the channel as well. Ferdinand was a massive influence on a lot of people. He has a question. I'll give this one to you, Johnny. A question for your lads. They keep going on about piracy issues, and the question is, how many APK apps can you watch Premier League football on? I think he means like illegal streaming.
Oh, you can lose count nowadays, really, Lee. I think it's changed over the years. I think the Premier League have tried to stop as many as possible. And like Sam mentioned before, they do back people up in court, as in the back being sports up in court, to stop all these things happening. I couldn't put a precise number on it, But look, you can, even in the UK, you've got Sky, you've got BT Sport, you've got Amazon now in the mix, you've got BBC having live games. They don't want their games to be broadcast anywhere else in the UK, but people will find a way if they can't watch those games. It's almost impossible nowadays because the technology is so far advanced. But if there's a will and there's a way, then the Premier League will do that. And you look at, like, I know, Lee, you can't really mention too much because obviously you work for one of the companies in Sky, but they pay a heck of a lot of money and they don't want people to not, to rip them off essentially, because that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Next one has come in from Unknown, and I'll let you answer this one, Sam. It seems to be the most public and most bizarre takeover in Premier League history, where the fans have left in the dark for months, and it's just simply wrong whether it's a club in the Premier League. Something should be said. I don't care if it's confidential. Contracts are ending. The fans' money is being taken. Something has to be said. Would you go along with that? That something should just come out and say, look, we can't disclose refund tickets because of X, Y, and Z, or the Premier League, there's a takeover happening. Not so much admit there's a takeover happening, but just say things are developing, like something to come out. Do you think it'll ease the minds?
There definitely should be some communication about the ticket refunds. I said earlier that they're hiding behind this mystique of the takeover, which I agree in what the message says, that it is the most, mad whatever takeover, and it's just typical Newcastle United, isn't it? So, I mean, to be fair, we shouldn't know at this stage. I mean, it's only probably because everyone's bored and the news got broke way sooner than what it would normally for something like a takeover. I mean, there's been a couple of Football League teams that have been taken over since our takeover saga began this week. So we basically found out too soon. Yeah, we found out too soon, and everyone's been at lockdown and just checking Twitter every 2 minutes to see if I've tweeted something, obviously. But yeah, it's just typical Newcastle United, isn't it? But there does definitely need to be some communication about the tickets. That's just a no-brainer.
Brandon, who was literally everywhere the night, isn't he? He says, have a good show. He's mentioned the atmosphere, but we haven't really talked about that. As I'm looking ahead at the games, Johnny, because I know you love fixtures and looking ahead to them as well. I'll highlight that as well. How many points do you see? I don't know if you can see that on your screen. Yeah. How many points do you see Newcastle getting?
We've got 9 games left, 5 at home. I haven't seen Newcastle lose at home this season. I was actually, because the 2 games I wasn't, that Newcastle lost. I've seen Newcastle lose 1 home game this season. That was the first game against Arsenal. The Everton and Leicester game, I was actually working. So I don't. You look at the 5 home games we've got. We've got Liverpool and Tottenham, but Tottenham again, and I don't really like the look of Tottenham. I just don't think they've done really well this season. I think Mourinho hasn't still got the best out of them. I can see us winning at least 2 home games. Away games, what we've got: Brighton, Watford, City. City will not get anything. I'm just trying to think who's the other one. Brighton, Watford, Man
City with Bournemouth, Owen's team.
Bournemouth, of course. Yeah, how could I forget Owen's team? Again, we seem to do okay on the roads. I don't think we'll get anything against City. If you're going to put us on the spot, 9 games left. I'll say we'll get 10 points. I think we'll be more than fine. Yeah, I think if we can get 4 points in the first 2 home games in the league, going into the Man City game, the last 7 games, maybe you can try a few different things, as we mentioned with a Dan Barlaser, for example. Maybe try Joelinton and Gale up top together. I'm just throwing out a few things, like, just to see if something can work in the long term. But no, Newcastle will be fine. If they can get that first win against Sheffield United, I think that'll ease so much for Steve Bruce and the whole squad, because I think that'll be safe at 38 points.
Sam, question for you from Kieran. Who's the first player that Newcastle will sign if a takeover happens? Will it be a big name, or will it be like a squad filler, or what?
Whether it's the first one or not, there'll probably be one kind of marquee signing, and that'll probably be a forward-thinking player, as we have to sign someone of that ilk anyway. In terms of names, you look at the
Matty
names
Longstaff.
we're linked to. I'd take it. But in terms of like a kind of a player, who knows? It could be that Edouard from Celtic. That them links are fairly strong, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't buy into Coutinho at all. I'm sorry. I don't think
it's too early for the takeover.
Go.
Coutinho. I think that would happen in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
That kind of caliber.
Yeah, that's what you're looking at. But you want a gradual, slow build. So we're not going to be signing megastars overnight. So I wouldn't order your Mbappe shirt just yet.
Last question before we take a break. This one's for Johnny. Do you think fans will gather when the announcement is there for the takeover?
Just depends on what the government say. Apparently, I heard Rishi Sunak, who basically said that they're going to discuss about the 2-meter rule. If that gets abolished, you can't stop people being in a certain proximity. So, look, you see with the results in terms of how many people are dying a day. Now, I know that there's obviously that weekend lag, but only it's still a horrible thing to say, but only 36 people have lost their lives today, which obviously we're all sad about, and that's like 41,000 people have lost their lives due to this horrific illness. Look, if it relaxes again in another couple of weeks, which everyone kind of expects it to, like I work in a restaurant, and I'm going back to work in the next 10 days, so it wouldn't surprise me, but I would only do it if it was safe to do so and it was right to do so, because again, you're looking at thousands of people will head to the city centre to celebrate this, and if pubs even can have beer gardens, people will go there and have their cans. Beer 52 would be really good as an alternative, but that's what people will look at. I can't speak for you, Lee. I can't speak for you, Sam, as Newcastle fans. But if it was me, unless it was only safe to do so, I'll be sticking in NE29.
Speaking of beer, Sam, we have some fantastic sponsors, BR52. So go to br52.com/NFTV and you can pick up 8 cans just for the price of $5.95. We've got Amazon, some classic stuff in there, some new stuff that's always getting added. I'm just waiting for Sam to put the graphic on. He's just taking all day, isn't he, Johnny?
Hang on.
There he is.
There it is.
Well done, Sam. And of course, we've got 3 retro as well, where you can pick up a classic shirt. They've just had 2 new ones added as well. So all of those stuff are in the links in the description. Get yourself a bargain. Sam's making me work hard, yeah. So also we've got NFT Extra. We've done a lot of videos this week. Kyle's done one last night. I think Paul's doing one tonight, and I think Kyle's doing another one tomorrow. And then there's Johnny and Sam with exclusive.
Yeah, possible.
Exclusive.
Yeah, the Greenwood and Mulliner show on Tuesday with Callan and Rids, the PDC star, Dart star, massive Newcastle fan. Yeah, it should be really good. So if you're not got anything to do on Tuesday nights, it's the day before the Premier League starts. Get your stills on NFTV Extra. Should be a good show.
We'll put it on the socials. If you like your darts, if you like your beer, and you like your football, you cannot lose. So we're going to take a break in a sec, but Sam, if you can get that WhatsApp number back up for us, get your WhatsApp in for the next section, because we're talking about friendlies, and it's 0747 649 7166. We've got Kyle who will be coming on, and we've got Paul coming on. And that should be every time Paul's on, he's got an odd thing that'll make you laugh. So no doubt you'll make me, Sam, or Kyle, or whoever's in the background watching a giggle away. But we are going to take a break. And Sam, you can hit an advert, anyone you like. We'll see you in a few minutes.
You're watching The Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
So that was fantastic. And we are going to be bringing you a few sponsors. And the first one that we're talking about today is 3 Retro. I've got Owen with me, and I've also got Sam with me. Owen, have you ever purchased something from 3 Retro?
Yeah, I've purchased from 3 Retro before. Their shirt quality is absolutely amazing. You'll find a range of shirts on there. Old shirts from the 90s, and even older than that, you can find ones from the 70s on there as well. Good quality shirts.
I have to agree, and the delivery is actually really quick, considering we've just came in and out of a pandemic as well. I'm currently wearing mine's from the 93-94 season. Feels nice. You can get loads of different sizes. You can get medium. You can get extra large. It goes all the way up. And the great thing about 3 Retro, Sam, is that they deliver worldwide as well.
Isn't it just? I myself plumped for the 1995 brown ale one, the one and only, after my lovely mother donated mine to a charity shop some years ago. I needed to replace it. They're extortionate on eBay. So 3 Retro, very reasonably priced, quick delivery, absolutely seamless.
And it was only £30 for that shirt, which is an absolute bargain. If you spend over £50, you get free delivery as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And now more and more shirts, Owen, more retro shirts in particular, are becoming more and more popular. You see a lot of fans wearing away shirts and home shirts going back 20 plus years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for someone who wasn't born in that era, it's brilliant to see and brilliant to get hold of those shirts from that era because they are the most beautiful. Yeah, I don't think we've had that amazing quality of shirt since maybe the early 2000s. So it's brilliant to be able to get your hands on them for a reasonable price with quick delivery. What more could you want?
Brilliant. Owen's a lot younger than us two, me and Sam. But on the website, they don't just do Newcastle United stuff. So if you've got friends and family in a divided household of different fans, they do several of other clubs. They also do national kits. We've got a lot of England shirts available as well. There's a link in the description. Get yourself onto 3 Retro. Get a bargain whilst you're there.
Welcome back to the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
Oh, I do fancy that Shearer one, the England one. It's eye me up, that Shearer one. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Black and White Show. We've had a change. These two are super subs. These are going to get over the line and get with top corner finishes. I'm joined by Paul. How are you doing?
Aye, no cricket talk now.
Thank God. Kyle, how are you doing? Kyle's gone very quiet. Can't hear you, Kyle. Can't hear you. Come out and come in. If you want to come back in, come back out, come back in. We're going to be talking about Middlesbrough and Hull as well, Paul. The first one, though, we didn't really know much about it until literally on the day. It was just like, ooh, we've got a friendly. We've won.
Yeah. Well, typical, isn't it, though, Lee? The club don't communicate. Communication's the key flash and watchword that I heard from the first half, and it's going to come back up again in this section of the show as well.
Yeah, we'll be talking about both games. Kyle will be joining us once his sound is back. Let's try him now. Hello, Kyle.
Right, can you hear us now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
That's a lot better. Right.
And then obviously, and then after the well, I'll ask you again, Kyle. How are you doing?
Not doing too bad. I hope everyone's doing well watching the show. Paul, I hope you're doing great, and Lee, I hope you're doing good as well. But I'm doing hunky-dory.
Your NE Wi-Fi looks, NE29 looks much better than it did last week. Much better than Johnny's.
Couldn't get any worse, to be fair. Right.
And then obviously after Hull, we played Middlesbrough, sorry, the first time in Hull, which we got a bit of inkling about a couple of days beforehand. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, but first we're going to have a look at a couple of videos that I've done regarding the lineups, and we'll take a look at a few goals. We'll talk about players. So here is the lineup when we played Middlesbrough.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is the Black and White Show.
Let's have a look what Bruce opted for, and it was a 4-2-3-1 formation. And we went with Martin Dubravka in goal. Then it was Emil Kraft, Fabian Schär, Federico Fernandez, and Danny Rose. Interesting, Danny Rose, yeah, remember him? Been a little bit controversial over the lockdown period, hasn't he? And then you had the two sitting, which was Shelvey and Hayden. And then on the right of the three, you had Lazaro, then you had Richie, and then you had Christian Atsu. It was Yoshinori Mutu, the forgotten man, was playing up top. So let's have a look how it lined up in the last 25 minutes. So this is the new lineup, same formation, couple of changes though. Only Fabian Schär and Danny Rose played the full 90. And it was Darlow in goal. Then it was Yedlin at right back, Florian Lejeune and captain Jamal Lascelles. Danny Rose was at left back. And then it was Alan St. Maximum over on the left-hand side. Bentaleb and Fabian Schär were the two in midfield. Manquillo was on the right-hand side. Almiron was floating in around that number 10. And Joelinton up top. So slight change of formation from the first half.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is the Black and White Show.
And as he just said, 0747 649 7166. Get your WhatsApp coming in. We'll read them towards the end of section 2. Paul, with those two lineups, did you learn anything?
To be honest, I don't think you can read a great deal into the formations and stuff. Interested in the use of Fabian Schär in a more midfield position, because I've championed that quite a bit, because I think he's struggling to get in, obviously, at centre-back. So interesting that they've tried him there, where he obviously plays, you know, for his national team occasionally. I think he can really offer us something there. He looks really good. And certainly with the issues and the controversy and the conspiracy theories around the Longstaff brothers, it could be another useful option, you know, in the middle of the park. So happy he was there. Happy Miggy was in the number 10 and stuff as well. Again, something I've championed for from when he's, you know, from I think it was the Copa America that I noticed first time, you know, how effective he can be there. But good to see Newcastle scoring goals, taking chances, and one in particular was almost £40 million worth of special.
We'll be taking a look at the goals in a second, but Kyle, I want to ask you the same question as well. It was a 4-2-3-1 formation, but did you learn anything from the two sides, or is it just a case of getting the lads, trying to get them fit?
I think it's just a case of trying to get the players fit, mate. I haven't read too much into it. I mean, I've seen the goals and things like that, and obviously watched the final word, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. But it's not much to read into. I was a bit disappointed that the Longstaffs didn't get much game time over the two games, but I suppose it's to be expected. The whole squad needs to get that important match fitness going into the last 9 games of the season, plus the FA Cup. So it's just match fitness and just basically friendlies. I mean, we've been to a fair share, but behind closed doors friendlies, just it's important for the players, but in terms of looking into it, Bob beating Middlesbrough, of course, nothing much in it really.
Paul's hometown club.
I knew there was going to be a little dig there.
If it's not me,
There'll be a little dig.
Oh, that noise is a bit bad there. But what we'll do is we'll take a look at the goals, because obviously I've mentioned it. But here is the goals from the
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
Went 1-0 down through, well, it looks like it's been credited to a George Saville goal, but it actually looks like a Fabian Shea own goal. Where are Newcastle centre midfield pair? Yeah, they're absolutely nowhere. Middlesbrough carve were open. Fabian Shea goes in to try and tackle him. It does look like it's an own goal. It goes past the broadcast. Newcastle are 1-0 down. Brit Asamoah-Belonga, however, he's got all the time in the world just to ping that top corner. And again, where is the midfield? Where's the defence rushing out? No urgency. I get it. It's a behind closed doors friendly. The urgency is not as much there, but you've got to speed up a little bit. Newcastle, loads of time in the world. Middlesbrough go 2-0 up. Newcastle look a little bit all over the place. But after half time, that forgotten man, Yoshinori Mutu, found loads of space on the edge of Boro's box, and he finished bottom corner to pull the goal back, which is great. And then Bruce started to make the changes in the 65th minute. He made several, I think it was 8 changes. The Newcastle equalised, slotted home by Miggy Almiron on an awful kick out by the goalkeeper, straight into Alan St. Maximum's chest. He's running in goal, squares at Alan St. Maximum. Borough are shouting for offside. He's onside, Almiron slots it. If we freeze the frame now and have a look, you can see that Miggy Almiron is clearly onside. Newcastle officials, of course, they are Newcastle officials. Let's not forget about that. And Almiron makes it 2-2 with the equaliser. And then the winner came from Javi Manquillo's throw-in. Joelinton just thinks he's Dennis Bergkamp. He does a Bergkamp on the defender, goes round him, and slots home past the goalkeeper. But Joelinton, 2-2 now. Fantastic.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is the Black and White Show.
So those were the goals for Middlesbrough. And I'll come to you first, Paul. As Joelinton, there's been a few tweets and a few stories out about that. You might do better without a crowd there. And obviously, so far, obviously up until the whole game, he was 2-2. Did he mean that goal, really?
I think the lad, he was desperate for any confidence shot that he could get. So I think him notching, and in the manner as well that he did so, it was really spectacular against Middlesbrough. It showed the skill and the potential that this lad has got. And I've said repeatedly since he signed, he's a young lad. The number 9 shirt, I don't think should have been given to him in a month of Sundays. there is talent there. You can see it in glimpses. Look at the finish against Spurs. His work rate, I think, he's really, really up that. He seems to be, to be responding to Bruce in some of the cup games and stuff, really chasing things down, lost causes. But he has to add some goals to take the experts, from the stands, take the pressure off. But yeah, it could give him a perfect opportunity. But to me, if I was a footballer, if I was Joelinton, I still want the fans in, because to me that gives you your extra 5 to 10%. I've looked at the Bundesliga recently and stuff, and I think the performances from when there's fans in the stadium, I think they're all down across the board. La Liga, everything. I think it's maybe 10-15% down on the intensity that it could be. But yeah, fantastic goal to score, and I really hope the lad does go on some sort of run. Maybe scores 4 or 5 goals this season, and it'll set him up perfectly ready for next season, when hopefully he'll have some help up there, because that lad has had to literally carry the striker position because of obviously the issues around Dwight Gale and his tours, Booba, Andy Carroll, and Mutu has been missing in action. You know what I mean? So he's had his work cut out, but fantastic to see him notch in such a fantastic way. And it looks so effortless. And I know it's a friendly and maybe tackles aren't flying in and stuff as they should do, but take some skill, that man. Take some skill.
Hopefully, because let's face it, Kyle, with Andy Carroll's only just come back. We'll talk about Carroll in just a second for the second game, but Joelinton's going to be picked up top, isn't he, next weekend?
Yeah, if you judge Joelinton off his off friendlies alone, he's 4-4. What's all the fuss about, lads? To be honest, Paul, I think the touch, whether you can call it a lucky flick or he's shown his inner Brazilian, I think it was a bit of a lucky touch, to be honest. Don't get us wrong, he's took a full advantage of that, and it's been a lovely finish. But I don't think that was it. That was the best of first touches, mine. But no, I think he will be starting next weekend, Lee. In the Burnley game before the lockdown, he was playing on the right a little bit more, so he might play on the right. Who knows? But judging from the friendlies in particular, I think Joelinton will lead the line next week for sure.
Yeah, it does look that way. What about Mutu though, Paul? God, who was he? Who is he? He's ended up scoring a goal.
To be honest, I'd forgotten about the lad. I sort of put it in the back of my mind. He probably left us in January sometime. I don't know what the lad's done. I don't know if he's slept with Mrs. Bruce or what he's done but he's clearly been a bit of a naughty boy, because he's literally been absolutely wiped off the face of the planet. He comes back into this game. He scores a goal. He's another option. There's extra places on the bench to be able to fight for. He's got to take his chance, because if it's not now, it's going to be never. If he doesn't, again, notch a few goals between now and the end of the season, whether Bruce is here or Bruce is gone, the writing will be on the wall for that lad. But again, what was it against Manchester United when he scored that goal? Again, he's got something about him. If you Google him and watch him for his previous clubs, he has got a finish in him. He's got some potential. But like I say, I don't know whether he slept with Mrs. Bruce or whatnot, or he stuck something in Steve Bruce's kebab that made it taste bad. But at the end of the day, the lad has just been absolutely ostracised out of the entire first team picture. So it's nice to see him, because let's be honest, we need extra bodies up top, because obviously the other two are like a walking, the walking wounded. So if we can get Mutu back, it can be a big asset to us. Get another win or two, and then try experimenting with different combinations. And you just never know. This might be the thing that makes him at Newcastle.
Where's he going to fit in though, Kyle? Because if you look at how we're set up, if we're going to play a 4-2-3-1, Almiron's going to get that number 10, and you would probably say Joelinton and Carroll are ahead of him. Obviously, Gale's injured, so where's he going to fit in? Is he Almiron's backup in that number 10, or is he third choice striker? Where's he going to fit in?
Well, to follow up on what Paul said, I think he's been a really naughty lad, because he never got a chance under Benitez. Must have put something in his paella. And then you look at Steve Bruce, he's put something in the kebab, or he's been around the block, shall we say. But no, he's never really had the chance, and I've always rated him, because when he's played, he's always had the work ethic. He's always been quick, and he can make the difference. And I think his record in a Newcastle shirt, I think he scored 4 or 5 goals in like 15 games, because he hasn't played much. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and I count friendlies in that as well, by the way, before Rob gets his little calculator out and talks about how many games he's played for Newcastle United. But no, I think there is a good player in there. He just needs a good run of games, and if we do get the early wins and we can get to the end of the season, it might be a chance to test him to see what he can actually do, because we haven't seen a run of games from him yet. Every time I've seen him, he's managed to do something, whether it's scored in the cup against Leicester, that decent finish against West Ham, even the finish in the behind closed doors friendly. There is a good player there. Whether he'd slot in on the left, which was his position at Mainz, his former club, I don't think he will, because I think we're quite star-studded in that position as it is. I think his best bet is a striker. It just depends if Bruce is going to play a long ball up with the striker like he has the vast majority of the season. Because if you put a 5'4" lad up front, I mean, I'm not being funny, but he's not going to win many headers, is he? And get many knock-ons. So it just depends if we play that 4-2-3-1. If we do, he's a good little technical player, and he can mix in with Almiron and Alan St-Maximin quite well. So I would give him a chance, but it would be up front, like, to be honest.
It's one of them cases. Is he a bad buy? I think he's going to be off. I really do. When the transfer market, I think we'll see quite a few shifted out. Right, possibly Carroll. I know Carroll wants to stay and move to.
Takeover happens, really. If no takeover happens, none of them will be out the door, because we'll not be bringing anybody in. If we get that takeover, then I'd expect a couple to be moved on. But it all depends if this takeover happens, mate, to be honest with you.
I've just muted in the background there. I can see hello, Rob. Rob will be in the fourth section. We're going to be looking at Hull next. Obviously, we'll play the weekend, and I'm going to be looking at 2 games.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is The Black and White Show.
But it was Martin Dubravka in goal, and then it was Yondre Yedlin playing right back. He played the full 90, which was interesting. Florian June and Federico Fernandez, he played the full 90. Danny Rose was left back, and then you had Javier Manquillo advance over on that right hand side. You had Alan St-Maximin on the left. Almiron was floating in behind in the 10. Sitting behind those front three were Shelvey and Bentaleb, and then if we move back forward further up the pitch, it was Joelinton up top. And what's interesting, what I've noticed so far in the 3 friendlies that Bruce has played, the one at St James's Park against the first team, the one against Middlesbrough the other day, and the one against Hull today, he's continued to play a 4-2-3-1 formation. That lineup for the second half, once the subs were done, it was Carl Darlow in goal. Yedlin, as I mentioned, continued to play at right back. Emil Kraft coming at centre back. He's played there a couple of substitute roles this season. Fernandez and Manquillo was left back, and then the 2 sitting, Isaac Hayden was brought on and Fabian Schär, and then you had the 3 behind the striker, which was Matt Ritchie, Valentino Lazaro and Mutu, who played there. And it was great to see Andy Carroll back. Andy Carroll hasn't played since Rochdale, I believe, which has been a good 5 or 6 months since we've seen Andy Carroll.
You're watching The Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
So, Kyle, that was the whole game. Again, it was another 4-2-3-1 formation.
Yeah.
Are you happy with that going into the rest of the season then?
I mean, time will tell whether I'll be happy about it, but did playing Hull change your life this time, Lee? Because the last time we played them in a friendly, it certainly changed your life, doesn't it? So I'll fair that one.
Sadly, I'm no longer with that person, thankfully.
It changed your life at that given time, though. But I suppose getting another win on the board against another championship side, who are also looking to get some minutes for their players going into the season, as their season's on over, either to get wins against them, especially in the ground and things like that. It's to get them used to the feel of what it's going to be like behind closed doors. I suppose it's a really good win for them. Getting used to the surroundings is obviously a good thing. I know they've had that with the Newcastle versus Newcastle side, friendly, but yeah, it just gives them them minutes that they need going into next week, which is the all important return of the Premier League. So yeah, it is important, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a friendly, but it's still a good win regardless, because it gives that experience of going into the rest of the season for certain surroundings.
Totally right. Andy Carroll was back there, Paul, for the first time since Rochdale. Obviously, he was sensational away at Sheffield United when we went down there, but unlikely to start next weekend. But again, it's more bodies back, which you just said before, but a totally different type of striker where you can just go long, lump it in if you have to for the last 10 minutes. Is that a great alternative off the bench?
It is, because a fit Andy Carroll is the best at what he does. And we've seen it before when we've been struggling in games. We can hit the ball long. He 9 times out of 10 will win the ball. And with little tricky players like Carl touched on before with Mutu, with Miggy, with ASM, you can make them runs on behind, as was proven in the reverse fixture. And that can cause trouble. I think if the game's going to be tight and nervy and edgy going into that last 20, 25 minutes, why not stick him on? At the end of the day, the Sheffield United defenders seeing Andy Carroll come on are probably going to do a few small brown packages on the pitch. You know what I mean? They're going to be pretty scared of that side because they're going to be thinking, they're tired. It's an unusual situation. And then Carroll's going to come on to bully them, to boss them. And he will, through his pure size alone and his aerial ability, be able to fashion chances for others, more trickier players around him. So I think it's fantastic to be able to have him on the bench. Fantastic. We've got 5 substitutes, I believe, now to be able to play with as well. So again, there's less of a risk that if he does break down on the pitch, we can change it around and we still should be okay. But against Sheffield United away, obviously we were down there. He was absolutely different gravy. It worked perfectly to our game plan down there. And obviously, any time we play a South Yorkshire side, it has to be a Newcastle win. I will never hear the end of it.
Not from the in-laws, Paul. Not from the in-laws.
Although the in-laws, to make it clear, would absolutely hate any Sheffield team. But I'll still get ribbed the next time that we all meet up if we're to lose against Sheffield United. So it's just not worth the earache. So I, desperate for this win. And I think a win will pretty much see us safe, to be honest. And then we can start experimenting and using and testing the likes of Dan Barlaser. Is he good enough? Is he worth the hype? And also allows the likes of Andy Carroll. Is he worth another contract? Is he worth another punt on a players-you-play deal? Is he worth another squad place for next season? It will answer a lot of questions. So there's a heck of a lot to play for between now and the end of the season, including the chance to make history to win an FA Cup for Newcastle United. What more incentive do the lads want?
0747 649 7166. Approximately about 10 minutes we'll be reading your WhatsApp out. Paulie just came up with a question there. Would you actually go on and sign Andy Carroll for next season?
Sadly, no. Personally speaking, unless he has a fantastic end of the season, which I hope the lad does, and proves a few doubters wrong, I just don't think with a 25-man squad you can justify having too many injury-prone players. That's difficult to say. And I think we have more than our fair share of players who like a little bit of SSP leave. You know what I mean? If it was me or you or anybody else in a job, you get into trouble the amount of times that you'd miss work because of sickness. But it's just a shame that the way his body is telling him, in my opinion, that he just can't hack it at this level anymore. But for the rest of this season, for cameos here and there, let's use him as much as we can. But I can't see next season. I'm sorry. Like with or without Takeover, which I still think will go through, I just can't see it. I think there's better options, younger options. And I'd rather give some of the younger lads a chance as opposed to, him being missing for 5 months again. Can't afford that. Can't afford to carry people.
I think for me, I would. But I think the reason being is because you can get rid of Gale and Mutu. Their future's not at the club. And you can make Andy Carroll third or fourth choice. Just the impact alone. I remember, just off the top of my head, Chelsea at home. He caused a massive problem for the Chelsea lads and should have got a penalty. And of course, you talk about Sheffield United as well. Fantastic away performance. Kyle, where do you stand on that?
Well, before I answer though, Jason, you don't need to Google. Andy Carroll's last goal for Newcastle was actually Alan Pardew's first game in charge at Newcastle United in a 3-1 win over Liverpool. It was about 30 yards out, and it was drilled into the bottom right-hand corner in the Gallagher end. Not an Andy Carroll goal by any means, but it was a fantastic goal nonetheless. But should we keep Andy Carroll next season? If you can keep him fit, yes, because I think he just offers that bit more off the bench. I mean, I remember the Southampton game he came on. He was just absolutely relentless. The Southampton defense didn't know how to handle him. They were quite happy with dealing with Joelinton. Then they got Andy Carroll for the last 20 minutes, and they couldn't handle it. We managed to get the win. Crystal Palace at home, he knocked it down beautifully for Almiron to get his first goal. His performance against Sheffield United when he got his first start of the season, he was absolutely fantastic. The problem is he hasn't been able to stay fully fit for the whole season. But by his standards, I think he's had a season where he's been fitter for more of the time than he has in the past few seasons, which he hasn't been fit much. So that kind of tells you the story of Andy Carroll. But is he worth the risk? I'd say he is. If you can keep him fit, then he is a fantastic option to have, because he does scare the shit out of defenders towards the last 20 minutes. If you bring him on, he offers you something different. Obviously, on corners, you're going to be a hell of a lot more dangerous. So yeah, I would say Andy Carroll, keep him in. But he's got to update that goal, the updated late goal from 2010. For definite, because it's been a long time coming, Andy. So between now and end of the season, you're not going to be in front of 52,000 Geordies, no. But get that goal and earn yourself a new contract, lad.
It'd be great, wouldn't it, to see him score? It would be fantastic. Just he deserves it. He does deserve it. It would be nice. It's football's all about stories, and that would be a fantastic story. I just don't think when you've got 25 men, you can afford to carry too many, and we've got some stinkers who like a bit of sick leave.
Andy Carroll's last goal, according to Rob, because it's been eaten in him, wasn't actually Liverpool. He's been battering the live chat. He says it was Man City. After that, Boxing Day, I believe. That's what Rob's put. If Rob's wrong, please let us know in the comments.
Didn't we get beat that day, though?
I've got no idea. I'm sure Rob will.
I'm sure it was Liverpool, at home.
Man City, yeah, he's nodding his head. I can see him in the background, where it is Manchester City. But please let us know if who's right or wrong. Obviously, Carroll, for nostalgia, being a Geordie DNA. I mean, I will keep him personally for me. But of course, the reaction. We're seeing ASM speak, and we've also seen Steve Bruce speak, and this is what they said about the game.
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
It's always nice to win, of course, but it was a typical friendly behind closed doors. In the first half, we played with a certain intensity, and the longer the game went on, the more it drifted away a little bit. But it's always nice to win, of course, and we've had a decent week. The good thing is that everybody's come through it okay. I think that's the vital importance. We have picked up one or two in the week, the two Longstaff brothers in particular, but they'll hopefully be joining us on Monday or Tuesday. So all in all, it's a good workout and gets us ready again for what lies ahead.
We win 2-0, and I think it's good to win a friendly game before to start against Sheffield. It's a little bit difficult to play with nobody in the stadium, but you have to start like this and understand for sure against Sheffield everything will be different. That's why we work hard for be ready and play very good against Sheffield. I feel good. I try to improve. I try to help more my team, and if I can help my team with assist or goal, I'm really happy to do that.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is the Black and White Show.
So those were the reaction and those were the goals from Florian Lejeune and Alan St. Maximum. It was French Day. Hopefully ASM continues to fire them in for the rest of the season because he's such a key player. But Bruce touch upon there, and I've obviously got to mention this because Kylie and any 29 lad and all of that. The two Longstaffs with slight injuries. Paul's a bit sceptical, shall we say, of these in particular. I'm guessing Matty, but it doesn't look like they're going to be involved for Sheffield United.
It doesn't look like it, does it? Especially when Steve Bruce's favourite, Nabil Bentaleb, scored that raker the other week. But hopefully they can get back to full fitness and get involved. Because it wouldn't. I kind of shy away from Matty's game time in a Newcastle shirt. It's kind of deteriorated since Bentaleb came through the door. So it's like, hopefully with the last 9 games he can get some minutes in, and hopefully he gets that contract sorted out, because it's key that we'll keep the lad on Tyneside for as long as possible, long term. Same goes for his brother Sean. Hopefully, because before the lockdown, it was fairly controversial thing on the channel whether he was playing well or not, and he probably wasn't. He wasn't having his best season, so it's a chance for Sean to have more of a redemption for the season. So I'm hoping Sean can have a good last 9 games, and Matty can get his contract situation sorted out. But as for next week, I don't expect either of them to play, unfortunately.
Let's just hope Matty get his contract sorted out. Well, in terms of, you mentioned it earlier on, Fabian Schär. Apologies about the echo. There was a bit of echo on that. Fabian Schär was playing midfield. Or did he step up into those 2 roles because of the staff's been missing?
Yeah, I do. I think if you watch him for the international team, Fabian Schär, he plays fantastically well. He's more than capable of playing that role. He's a really intelligent footballer who can offer a whole range of, passing, great vision. So I'd like to see Fabian Schär play in that role. But I'll say it again about the Longstaffs. I still take what the club is saying with a massive pinch of salt at the moment. I don't trust the club's communication as far as I can throw it. So I don't know. I think it's political. I think it's pressure. I think it's mind games. I think it's Charlie trying to be clever, which perfectly, to be honest, doesn't suit him because he's a buffoon.
Right then. So I think what we'll do is we'll have a little look at the WhatsApps. I do apologise about the echo. I don't know which that's coming from any one of us three. I'm not 100%.
It might be me, because it was me before, wasn't it? So I'll leave and come back.
Right, well, we'll have a look at your WhatsApp whilst Kyle comes back. We'll wait for that to come through. We'll wait for him to come through. Paul, you mentioned obviously Fabian Schär being moved up, as I'll just correct the screen. Do you see anyone else playing anywhere in any other positions? Because Javier Manquillo's played in 3 positions in the last 2 friendlies. He's played right back, he's played right midfield, and he's also played left back. Do you think he'll be used as a utility player for the rest of the season?
I do, yeah. To be honest, I've taken me slices of humble pie about Manquillo many times over the course of the season, but he's really versatile. He's got a good cross on him. He can do a job on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, some of his crossing in particular has been an absolute joy. Personally, I would prefer him back at right back, and I'd push Joelinton out of the 2 further forward, because I think you can utilise his pace really well. But Manquillo is one of the players who, again, just come on leaps and bounds this season from an absolute... At the beginning of the season, I just thought a pathetic no-hoper squad player we bought in on the cheap. But like you said, when I make mistakes and I get it wrong, I like humble pie. I did on that occasion. I've said it on numerous occasions. Javier Manquillo has been absolutely fantastic. And you think about like Kieran Dyer. He whinged and moaned and bitched and complained about, I don't want to play out wide. You got somebody like Manquillo, right back, yeah, no problem, boss, I'll play there. You want me to play right midfield? Not a problem. Left back, left wing back, right wing back, yeah, no issues. Model pro.
Yes, and it's one of those debates, isn't it? Would you give him another contract? I would only personally, if we got rid of Joelinton, get rid of Kraft and bring in a first choice right back and have Manquillo as your backup.
Yeah.
Message comes through. I'll give this one to Kyle. It says the friendly games was good to see he's using the 4-2-3-1 formation and giving players that have been left out cold like Mutu a chance. The only thing concerns me is the level of competition. All championship teams, other premiership teams have been playing other Premier League teams, but nice to see Joelinton get some game time. I think you'll need time to bed in. Massive fan of the channel. Loved Lee's surprise video. Keep up the awesome work, and thank you for helping us getting us through the pandemic. So thank you very much for the nice words. But the question there, Kyle, the level of competition, is that a concern for you, or is it just it's all about match fitness?
Not really, because you look at a standard pre-season. We'll play a couple of championship sides usually every year. So I mean, the championship level is not a level of football to be discredited. You know what I mean? It's a decent level of football. You're playing some decent sides, and I think it makes sense to play them as they're going back to play football themselves. So we'll both profit off each other as clubs. I don't think there's any particular issue in playing a championship side, because it is relatively a high level. I mean, if you want to play like maybe a level that we're going to be playing soon in, like Man City, maybe you could play a Premier League side, but it's just to get players back into the swing of things, and I think that's the right kind of level, to be honest.
Yeah, Kieran, this one is for you. Again, apologies about the echo. What are your thoughts, Mike Ashley buying a stake in Hugo Boss?
Oh,
hello, Paul.
What's that, mate?
What
yeah, hello.
On Hugo Boss, 97 million. Mike Ashley.
Yeah, it's very convenient where he's found this cash from, isn't it? It's almost as if he's expecting a large windfall in the coming weeks, isn't it? And he's using some money to do his normal work. It's typical Mike Ashley that when the chips are down and people are facing hard times, he looks to profit. He looks to profiteer. He looks to pick off the back. So yeah, it's perfect time for him. That's why he wants the cash off the sale of Newcastle, so he can cherry pick things at fraction of actual costs, and making more money in the future. That's all what it's about for him. That's why he's flown back from America into the country. That's why he's committed this cash. That's why I'm even more confident than I was before that this deal will go through. The fact that he is investing serious money on the high street, that Hugo Boss will fit into his flannels, tat shops, another shop that again I wouldn't touch with a barge pole. But it's just typical Mike Ashley. But it does give you some positive noises that the takeover machine must still be progressing to a satisfactory conclusion for him, because why else in these times would he be splashing his own cash? No, he'll use money again generated by the football club. So yeah, I hope he's happy with his money, and I hope he chokes on it.
Kyle,
to be fair, I'm looking forward to Hugo Boss linking up with unknown German midfielder Jose Fraser. Be good to see them link up in the middle. We'll pay how much for the two of them? I think it's 140, 150 million for the two. Ballon d'Or coming next year, lads. Be a two-way street.
As long as you smell great, it's all that matters. Question for you, Kyle. He says, this is from William from Belfast. He loves the show. Great to see the tune back next weekend. Are you looking forward to seeing we're back?
Absolutely. Been going absolutely insane in lockdown. Me uni stuff I got out of the way a couple of weeks ago. If you're wondering, I passed. I got all my exams spot on, so that's going on, I suppose. But no, I'm really looking forward to football getting back. Went absolutely demented since the uni work's been finished. So yeah, can't wait for it back. And the next week's Black and White show, we'll actually have football to talk about. I mean, that's what we're meant to be doing in anyway. So, it's good to see we actually define our roles as people again. Having football back. But looking forward to it, mate. And it's always nice to hear from you in WhatsApp.
Thank you very much for that message, William. Chris in London, Paul, I'll give you this one. Would you give Carroll another performance-based contract if he was fit? Would that change your mind?
It wouldn't, no. And the reason it wouldn't change my mind is it's because of the 25-man squads. If there was no limit on the amount of players that you could have, then yeah, it would be a no-brainer to have him about. He's able to coach, he's able to mentor other strikers. I don't think we have a lot of experience really in our squad, so any experience is good to be able to pass down. And I think we missed a trick not signing Rondon to be able to pass that knowledge and skill and little tips and stuff on to Joelinton. But no, I just... yes, he has played in games this season, a lot of them off the bench, but if under normal circumstances he'd have missed the remainder of the season. The season would have been done and dusted, and he wouldn't have been back from when he got injured back at the beginning of the year. So you can't build around these type of players, unfortunately. I mean, I love Andy Carroll as a person. The nostalgic side of me would love him to score the winning goal in the FA Cup final. If that's his only goal, I mean, you're going to go down as an absolute icon and legend. But I just can't see it. I mean, I put my Football Manager head on. Would I keep him on there? Yeah, it's a fantastic deal that you're paying him out, but you're paying him peanuts, which probably gives Lee Charney a massive what in the seat of his pants. But, well, go on then. He's me trying to be professional, and you've got to bring it down.
Hey, we don't have Ofcom anymore. I tried to stop with words, Paul. How are you?
Yeah, Stiffy.
So yeah, it probably rouses them lot, that sort of thing. But ultimately, I would look for another striker. I think it's stupid that we haven't brought Rondon back. It was stupidity not signing him last summer. And I think we would have scored a lot more goals if we had that big, beautiful bastard back in the team. We should never have let them go. China was an absolute mistake. So let's bring Rondon back home.
The last one, I'll give it you, Kyle. We'll read out your WhatsApp later on in the third section. Mike Ashley, I presume he's meaning here, wants the takeover happen so he can go and ruin some other shops and brands. Ashley wants this done, doesn't he?
Well, it's hard to say, isn't it? But from his recent spending spree and paying off his tax bill in Belgium, it would indicate he's expecting money coming in, because it's not like Mike Ashley to spend loads of money. He usually buys one tat brand per year and then moves on to the next one if they're in trouble, or if they're in massive trouble like Debenhams were, then he'd try and invest or whatever. But hopefully he wants to sell the club. I mean, it would indicate he wanted with it being with the Premier League for the last God knows how long. But until that yellow bar or news on breaking news flash or whatever it may be comes up that Mike Ashley sold the football club, he's still here, and whether he's a willing seller or not or whatever, it's just a case of waiting for the big call from the Premier League, isn't it? But until then, we've got this idiot in charge of the football club. So hopefully, better late than never, he's away, and we can all celebrate on BR52 if you want to get the latest order. I mean, I didn't do the adverts with you and only, but I'll try my best. Order BR52.
You'll see it on the cuts video that we'll put out. We can't be serious enough with it. So yeah, make sure you get your WhatsApp in for the third section, where we'll be joined by Rob. Kyle, are you staying on, or is it just me and Rob?
No, I said I would stay on.
Staying on as well. So get your WhatsApp in. Be me, Kyle, and Rob in the third section. We're going to be looking at the 10 best players in the Championship. It's 0747 649 7166. Who should we go for if they're not on your list? Paul, have you enjoyed tonight?
I have, yeah. And just to let you know, when the takeover goes through, if you haven't got access to Sky and you see me dancing around the Sir Bobby Robson statue, looking like I've had a few cans, take that as a sign that the takeover's gone in as well, because I'll be going up there to have a drink with Bobby. So you can mark that down in your calendars and your diaries and stuff as well. But yeah, good show.
I'll arrange to pick you up, mate.
Kerry will sort us out.
You need bailed out. You'll be in the
I might do if I see Charlie.
Paul, thank you very much for coming on. We'll be back in a few minutes when Rob joins me and Kyle. So see you in a couple of minutes.
You're watching the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.
I'm here, joined by Lee and Owen, and we're going to discuss our new sponsor for Newcastle Fans TV, Beer 52. What have you got there, Owen?
It is a box full of beer from our sponsors, Beer 52. Amazing quality stuff.
And how did you go about getting such marvellous beer?
I just visited the link that we have in our description. It's called beer52.com/NFTV. Just sign up, £5.95 for a box full of beer. What more could you want? Great for cans.
Now, it's the largest beer tasting club, if you like, Lee. what are you drinking there?
So I've had just the one so far, but my box arrived yesterday. The first thing I noticed about it was all the colourful cans. I was like, ooh. I was opening all these up, and I've got one called Puffin Tears, and it comes from Cornwall IPA, 5%, which is a nice rounded figure for a nice beer. White and green is that one, so I've tasted that one. I can't wait to tuck into the others, but I do need to keep some, Sam, for Takeover. I'm trying to hold on. I'm really am.
What better way to get ready for hashtag cans than visiting beer52.com/NFTV? Although I don't think it'll hurt to crack one open now. I've gone for the Tiny Rebel Lazy Boy Lager, 4.3, so it's a session lager. Let's give it a go. Owen, what else have you got there inside your Beer 52 package?
Well, I've got a magazine called Ferment. Did you get the pun? Yeah, brilliant little magazine. Read through, you can find out all sorts in here, like beer creation. Fantastic. Also, just before I whip out one of my cans, got the Two Tribes Electric Circus American Pale Ale, only 4.7%. So, obviously, if you don't want to get too drunk, just have one of those, chill out, relax in the sun, and enjoy hashtag cans.
Absolutely. Lee, what better way to get yourself ready for cans than have beer arriving on your door every month?
Especially with the pubs on open at the moment, so you can have beer delivered to your front door, which is mint. You can also use your cans whenever you want. You can use it if you're going to watch Newcastle because you can't attend the games. You can watch them behind closed doors. And the great thing about it, what I like about it, it's not a contract. You can cancel your subscription whenever you like.
You certainly can. Join the nation's biggest beer tasting club at beer52.com/NFTV.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is The Black and White Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Black and White Show. Sam just loves beer. You just can't get enough of it.
I'll tell you what, Lee. Owen could sell wood to a lumberjack, couldn't he? He's fantastic at selling.
Oh, wait until you see the funny bits coming back out. So please keep your WhatsApp coming through. We're going to be reading them later on. We're going to echo again, Kyle, at you. 0747 649 7166. This is marvellous when we're all live. And you can probably tell we're joined by somebody new. Hello, Rob. How are you doing? We can't hear you either, Rob. Let's unmute you. That's my fault. We'll try it again. Hello, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks. And yourself?
Not bad, not bad. Having a good show so far. We're into the final section.
In the last part, in the last part when Paul was talking about Ashley, I've been thinking of that song at the start of Muppets Christmas Carol. There goes Mr. Humbug, and putting Ashley into the words instead of Scrooge. So that I've had a good, fun 10 minutes before coming on, actually.
I've seen you in the background just steadily. So this section, we're going to be talking about the Championship's top 10 players. These two, Rob and Kyle, I've got no idea who I've listed. They'll probably get some of them that I think, there's 3 or 4 I'd expect to be in there. There's probably 1 or 2, even myself, that I don't know much about. But where could Newcastle look at the market? Is the Championship a real area of expertise? Rob, do you think is the Championship a good league to look at and get some young talent?
I've always been a believer in you can always try and source out the gems out of the league that's below you. And to some extent, I still think that. However, I think this season, especially in the Championship, no one has especially given me the wow factor and made me really believe, yes, I really want that player to play for Newcastle. Not many have done that this year. So, the likes of Mitrovic has been one of the top performing players this season in the Championship, but I wouldn't have him back. It just wasn't a good fit, whereas he seems a really good fit at Fulham. And I just don't think he was really happy, especially, I know Rafa's been and gone now, but I just don't think he really settled at Tyneside.
I think he's better than Joelinton, put it that way. So I have him back in a heartbeat. Right. So let's crack on with it. Let's see how many you know. And you probably know the first one, which is Jude Bellingham. Obviously, he's been linked numerous of times to Manchester United. And it looks possible that he does go there. And the youngsters just turning 17 this month. I mean, that's crazy to think he's currently 16, turning 17. Completely. Originally, when he got into Birmingham's first team, he was playing on the left-hand side, and then he was told to mature, and then he got that centre midfield role. 35 appearances so far in all competitions with 3 assists, 4 goals, but transfermarket.co.uk only rate him at 10 million. Robbie's not going to go for 10 million. It's going to be 20, 30, isn't it?
I think back in January, weren't Birmingham even putting a price tag of around 60, 70 million on him? And when you look back to it was just 11 years ago now that Cristiano Ronaldo made the move to Real Madrid from Man United for what was then a world record £80 million. And to think that a 17-year-old could be making that sort of move, that big money move, just 11 years later, I just don't. If it does happen, I just don't think it. I really do think it'll come back to bite Man United or whoever the buying club will be.
Kyle, do you think, because obviously centre midfield is a topic where some fans don't feel we're very strong in, and you're bringing in this lad, if Newcastle were to sign this type of player for a big fee, surely he has to be a starting player, doesn't he?
It's hard to say, mate. I mean, if we keep Mike Ashley, there's no chance we're getting anywhere near Jude Bellingham. He's been linked with the top clubs in Europe. He's been linked with Man United. He's been linked with Borussia Dortmund. He's been linked with that calibre of side. So I don't see us going in for this lad. But it might be a case where people are jumping in too quick, because I remember a lad 10 years ago was come through the ranks of Crystal Palace and Tottenham bought him. And from there, they realised how bad he was, and he's not even playing in the 8th tier of English football now, you know, and he's only 26, 27, he's, you know, so it's like, I can't remember his name, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I think it's Baldock, I think. But,
yeah, he's black lad, isn't he?
I think so, I can't remember the name, but there's so many names you can go through. I mean, Jose Baxter, at 16 years old, he was tipped to be the next Wayne Rooney at Everton. He got sent out on loan to Sheffield United, and he's never been heard of or seen of for the last 3 years. Theo Walcott, he was tipped to be the next England superstar, and he didn't do anything at Arsenal, bar score a hat-trick past us in a 10-year period. There's so, like, the English media are so quick to jump on the next big thing, and it puts too much pressure on these lads, and they end up losing the way a bit, and it's not good. I mean, I hope is it Jude Bellingham? Is it?
Yeah.
I hope the lad can handle it and he goes on to big things. But I don't see Newcastle going in 30, 40 million to sign this lad. I mean, if a takeover was to happen and there were willing spenders, and it came up that whoever the manager maybe wanted Jude Bellingham as a star and centre midfielder for the future, then maybe it would come up. But I just don't see it happening, to be honest. Like, not on this occasion in any way. But he is a fantastic talent. I just hope he doesn't buy into his own hype too early and he just stays grounded. Probably a couple of years at Birmingham would do him some good, and then maybe think of moving on.
I think the age as well, it's just too young to. I mean, he's 16 years old. He's got a good 15, 16 more years ahead of him before he actually starts to drop off as a footballer. And I just think it's way too early. I mean, look at the likes of Harry Kane, who wasn't even began to be considered as a superstar until he was about 21, 22.
I don't even think he was considered a footballer until 20, mate. He was playing in goal for Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think it's very early in Bellingham's career, and just give him a year or two at Birmingham. Let's just prove to the whole world that this season in the Championship hasn't been a fluke.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on, because that lad will go far, but it's not what Newcastle need at the moment. But the next one, of course, we'll hear from Sir Les Ferdinand in a moment. And there's been a lot of talk with Eberechi Eze, 22 later on this month. Normally predominantly plays up top, 39 appearances, 8 assists, 12 goals isn't too bad. Transfer market, again, only mark him at 8.1. I cannot say that. That's got to be over 20 million if QPR are holding out. Les Ferdinand joked on match the asking price. Well, what is the asking price, Kyle, for Eze?
I'll be honest with you, mate. I've never actually seen him play. I've only seen the links to Newcastle United in the past week or so. Judging on that, a young lad, 20 contributions in 39 games, it averages around 1 in every 2, which for a centre forward contributions wise is fairly good. Championship level for a young lad like him. So if it lines up for Newcastle, we could do with a good centre forward. So maybe out of the whole list of players coming up, this might be the most realistic of the bunch, you know. But I know we've been linked with the likes of Edward and linked back with Rondon and giving Carroll a new contract. So it might be, it mightn't happen. It probably won't happen because it's Newcastle, so it won't happen. But there is a talented player there for sure.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you're just turning 22. QPR's star assets, I think they'll be up to 20 million to try and get him. And are Newcastle ready? Is he ready for the Premier League? It will be a massive risk if you do go and get him. Rob, do you know much about him?
Yeah, I've seen him play quite a bit, and I am impressed by him. He's one of the first players on the team sheet at QPR, so I'm in no doubt that he will play Premier League football at some point within next 2 years. I think his time will come. Is now the time? I am not sure. That is the big question, because I think when you're in our shoes, yes, we would be the next step from QPR, you'd think. And so this year, he might be cheaper, but is he ready to cut it in the Premier League? Or do we try for him next year? If he stays at QPR, he might have a fantastic season in the Championship, in which case, if he does, this time next year, his price tag will have massively inflated. So it's a really, really big dilemma that, you know, the likes of Newcastle and several other clubs around our caliber we'll need to be asking ourselves over the coming months and over the next year.
Yeah, Jared Bowen was obviously one that we were linked to for a long, long time, and he went to West Ham and scored a goal fairly early on, but we'll see how he progresses. But with Eze, Les Ferdinand's a massive fan, of course he is. He was director of football. This is the last clip of the night. Very short, this one. This is what Ferdinand said about his star talent.
Want to get something off your chest? Interact with us in the live chat and WhatsApp us your messages on 0747 649 7166. This is the Black and White Show.
Can we pinch that young star, Eze? Can we get him to Tyneside?
Yeah, if you pay enough money for him, you can get him. I'll be giving
maybe when the takeover happens then.
Yeah, I'll be giving them a glowing report in terms of what it's like up there, and it's a great place to go and play football. But as long as you lot match our asking price, yeah, you can have him, no problem.
Not anytime soon, but maybe if this takeover happens, because he looks a talent mind.
Yeah, he is, and you know, I kind of like best. People have been asking me about him, and even the club, and said, you know, lots of people talking about him, and I've said probably in the top best 6 players that I've seen, he'd be in the top 6 easily in terms of his ability to control and pass the ball. I think the rest of it will come. He's still got bags of energy, and he's got to know how to use that energy and how to what's the word? In terms of using his energy in the right areas, and how he's going to be effective using his energy in the right areas, and he's got so much more to come. That he will be a superstar if he keeps his head on and goes to the right place.
Broadcasting live across YouTube and across Newcastle Fans TV's social media, this is the Black and White Show.
If he keeps his head right, he'll go on to be a star. Also picked up a glowing report Tyneside. The Chronicle have obviously done an article on us with that interview regarding Eze and obviously Ferdinand, which we played earlier on in tonight's show about the director of football role. But yeah, he's a talent. Do Newcastle need to splash that cash for a striker? Yes. But is he the one from Championship level? That is the doubt. Please let us know what you lot think in the WhatsApp as well. We'll be reading your WhatsApp out towards the end of the show at 0747 649 7166. We've got 8 more players, people. 8 more to rattle through to try and get through. So please get your live chat and your WhatsApp coming through. The next one is Ben White. Now, Ben White's a lad who is on loan from Brighton, and he's currently at Leeds United at the moment. So Leeds at the minute have the best defence in all of the Championship, and him and Cooper play along at the back. valued at just 5 million by Transfer Market. This isn't our valuation, it's theirs. But Ben White, 22, being sent out. I'm surprised Brighton let him go. And if Leeds come up, I could see that being permanent. 40 caps, well, 40 appearances, sorry, 2 assists, 2 goals. But Rob, we're blessed with centre-backs, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, centre-backs is certainly, it's not the place on the field where we should be looking to prioritise in order to strengthen this year. And I think in terms of Leeds' success, I think the really good defensive success that they've had this year, I think is mainly down to Calvin Phillips, who operates as the Kante role, as I like to call it, the defensive midfield, protecting that back line. Now he is someone who, a young lad, I think 24, about my age. Oh gosh, I just said how old I am. But yes, Calvin Phillips, he is the one that I would go for. And, you know, especially considering that we don't need any centre-backs in the summer at the moment, then I'd be happy to waive Ben White.
I would agree. I think he could be a talent. But Calvin Phillips, Kyle, would you go along with that? Defensive midfielder?
Probably not, no. I've seen Calvin Phillips play a couple of times when we were in the Championship, and obviously he's grown a little bit as a player since then, because it's been what, 2-3 years. But yeah, I wouldn't be taking anyone from a defensive point of view from Leeds or Brighton. Well, no matter which club this lad's at come next season, I wouldn't be buying him, because I think even if a takeover happens, the one place we're safe on the field is centre back. I think we've got 5 or 6 good centre backs who could come in and do a job, and even then we've got the likes of Kelland Watts that are knocking on the door to try and get a good opportunity as well. So centre backs is a big no for me. The only reason I bring Calvin Phillips in is if to put him in his old position of right back, because we are desperate for a right back.
We are desperate for a right back, and unfortunately, there's no right backs featured on this list because they're not the top 10 according to Sky Bet. But so Ben White has been labelled as the next Rio Ferdinand for his ball playing skills. But I want to move on, and this one's an interesting one.
Oh, he doesn't talk like him, man. Because Rio Ferdinand chats utter shit.
Yeah, especially about us, and he's a good friend of Mr. Ashley, isn't he, with his Sports Direct little brand, and that goes.
It's got nothing to do with the Sports Direct brand. Don't be silly, Lee. It's got nothing to do with his own brand being a part of Sports Direct at all.
No, not one bit. The next one's interesting, though, is Ryan Brewster, who's obviously on loan from Liverpool. And obviously Liverpool are linked to another world-class striker in Timo Werner. And obviously Raphael Haugenstein, has already said that they've had a meeting on Zoom with Klopp and Werner with Leipzig. I know he's linked to Chelsea at the minute, but Brewster's he's stuck in the minute because obviously he's a talent, but you're not going to get ahead of Salah, Mane, and Firmino, and he's gone out on loan. He scored a few goals so far, 4 goals in 11 appearances, 20 years of age, valued at 4.9 million again by Transfer Market. I'm not having that. That'll be, again, you're paying for English talent. That's going to be 15 million plus. Unfortunately, it's the way it goes. But Kyle, I'll come to you on this one. Is this someone where we maybe could take on loan? Because I don't think we'll buy him. But is there someone where you can get him on loan and maybe use him as a backup, maybe out wide occasionally?
It's an interesting one, because the lad's got talent, he's got pace, and he's always been highly rated ever since the under 17s England side won the World Cup, because he was a massive part of that squad, and he's went on to play Championship football and do reasonably well. So if Liverpool are looking to get this lad like a Premier League club, Newcastle would be ideal, because if they're wanting Ryan Brewster to be a part of the long-term future, they'll want to play for a Premier League club with a fan base pretty similar, which I'd say ours is pretty similar to Liverpool's. The stadium and the pressure that is playing for a club like a Liverpool or a Newcastle. So it would make sense for Liverpool to lend him to us. But it's just a case of whether Newcastle would want to do something like that. Personally, I probably would go for someone like that, because he is a good talent. But we've got good talented youngsters as well from the forward line. I mean, you look at Elias Sorensen, you look at Yannick Torre. They're players I would look to bring in to try and, like, if you're looking to get some experience, 4 or 5 minutes, or a cup game or whatever, I'd give Yannick Torre a chance or Elias Sorensen, because they've been knocking on the door for a while, even though Ryan Brewster's probably more experienced in league football with playing for Swansea. But that's just me personally. I would rather give the youngsters a chance early next season and later this season.
But it's a move I could see, Rob. I could see Brewster going to Premier League side just on loan to try and develop him as a Premier League footballer, if you want to call it that, because he's not going to get the chance anytime soon. And especially if Liverpool bring in a Werner or another world-class striker to have competition. They've got Rigi as well. I could see that happening. I could see like Newcastle linked to a Brewster over the summer on loan. But would that be a good move?
It's $1 million question. I think immediately for Brewster, I think it's going to take something very, very, very special over the next 3 years if he's going to have any sort of history, any sort of future at Liverpool. That is for sure, because Liverpool just seem to keep on growing on quality, getting the world's best strikers and forwards in at Anfield. I think Brewster, for now this season at Swansea, he's been good, but I have struggled to often see him put in a great performance. Consistently good, but not consistently great. So for next season, I'd be a bit unsure about. I think there might be better options out there for us next season. I think from a Liverpool perspective, I'd give him 1, maybe 2 more seasons in the Championship before making that step up to the Premier League, to a non-top 6 Premier League side in about 2 or 3 years' time. And that is where I think he will begin to settle. Give it 2 or 3 years. He will eventually settle, but I think for next season, I just don't think we are the right club, nor are we the right club for him. So
I'll take him on loan, but I wouldn't go any further than that. But a lot of these,
I think Liverpool will look towards what Chelsea did with Tammy Abraham, because I think Abraham went to a lower end Championship team. I think he went to Bristol City, and then he went to Swansea. Didn't work out for him at Swansea. It was maybe too early for Premier League for him. So then they sent him to Aston Villa, where he did really well. And now he's back at Chelsea and he's banging the goals in. So the blueprint is there. Maybe it might be a little bit too early for Ryan Brewster. And like Rob says, maybe another Championship side, maybe like a Leeds or someone like that if they stay in the Championship. But as they loaned Eddie Nketiah from Arsenal early end of the season, so Leeds are prone to bringing in a young striker that has pace and looks to get in behind the defence. So maybe a Championship side again from next season, but he has got a lot of potential, and we've seen that already from an international point of view with England under 17s, and they're having a consistent time at Swansea as well. So maybe next season on loan. I don't know. It depends what situation Newcastle are in. But I would pass on him for now and go with some of our youngsters.
Exactly. Now, Rob, what would you do with Christian Atsu, Jacob Murphy, Rolando Aarons? What would you do with them 3?
I think now's the time to look to move them on. I think that's a no-brainer. Yeah, Rolando Aarons. It's such a shame because when he was young, he did have that good-looking potential about him, but now he's not a young man anymore, and we're sending him out on loan to Scottish League, which is about the quality of low Championship, League One sort of territory. I just can't see Atsu as well. We've known isn't cut out for the job, like a cardboard cutout. Isn't cut out for the job at St James's Park. So I had to put that in there. I just think when you mention those players, Jacob Murphy as well, my immediate thought was surely we can get some better options in there.
The reason why I brought wingers up is check out this lad's stats from Brentford. They are 20 years of age. Look how many goals he's got from right midfield, from right winger. 15 goals in the Championship, and he's gone a little bit unknown. Frenchman, valued at just 7.2 million. Obviously, Brentford are moving into a new stadium. Hopefully, they'll obviously get promoted. 7 assists, 15 goals, 38. They're impressive, Kyle, aren't they?
I've never actually heard of this lad before now. They're pretty good. When you look at Atsu, I think his time at Newcastle's finished. He's been a good servant to it. since I helped in the Championship, and he's came in with a goal here or there, but it's been mostly and being trash at Newcastle. Jacob Murphy, probably the biggest flop Newcastle have had in the last 5 or 6 years, considering the price fee. And then Rolando Aarons, Lee's best mate currently, but not doing well enough to warrant a first team place. I know he had a okay couple of games in pre-season, and there was a lot of controversy of why Bruce picked Atsu over him for the 25-man squad. But I think Aarons needs that fresh start. Atsu needs that first team football as he's getting on, and Jacob Murphy needs that fresh opportunity as it hasn't worked out for him at Newcastle. So to bring a lad like that in, off the bench, 10 minutes to go, and then get him into the first team eventually, would as the likes of Richie and that gets older, as he would probably be the alternative midfielder. If a Maximin wasn't fit or an Almiron was playing in the number 10. So maybe someone like him. I mean, I'd have to see him play first to see what type of player he is, whether he's skillful or more direct or looks to take the shot on. But from them starts, looks a decent player for a young lad of 20 years of age as well. So I'd have to see him play first, but he can't be that bad if the stats look so good at such a young age for what is a decent attacking side in Brentford as well.
And he's a right winger who's predominantly left-footed and likes to cut in as well. So he's more inwards. But the next one I want to talk about again is another youngster. We're probably not so much going to be looking at Nathan Ferguson, who broke into West Brom's side earlier on this season. He played left back, but predominantly he's a centre back, a value of just 3.6 million by transfer market. Again, I'm not agreeing with transfer market values of some of these players because you pay for English talent and inflation is just ridiculous. But 19 years of age, is it the case, Rob, with Ben White? Is that, yes, he's a young talent, but again, we're very strong at centre backs. Yes, he can fill in at left back, but you really need a permanent signing at left back. Hopefully, Jetro Willems.
Yeah, my immediate thought there, looking at those stats, 21 appearances this season, and although being part of 2 goals, involved in 2 goals from defence is pretty decent in 21 appearances, I still think that is about half a season, and he's only just broken into that West Brom first team this year. So I think it's a definite case of give him another year in the Championship. We saw a comment on the screen just now from Simon saying that taking a gamble like this, someone on the Championship, we did this exactly 3 years ago with Jacob Murphy, and he's got it spot on there. If taking this sort of gamble, massive price tag as well, it's definitely a big gamble, and we can't afford another Jacob Murphy. I think we should have learned our lessons from Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, the Championship, it's one of them. And look at Jermaine Janus, he was brilliant for us. So it's tipping in the Championship and you don't know who you're going to get. And it's a bit like
you can play against with in the FA Cup.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Well, Maximin had him on toast.
I think Alan St. Maxim has a lot of people on toast. It's what you want on that toast. Is it Marmite? Is it jam? It just
don't talk to me about Marmite, like nah. Just plain butter, and if there's anything else on top, it'll probably be strawberry jam. But that's where it ends for me. Like,
right, let's move on to the next one. As Kyle, Rob, the next one is Conor Gallagher, who's on loan from Chelsea. First half of the season, he spent time at Charlton earlier on, and he's been at Swansea since the new year. 20 years of age, and for me, Isaac Hayden's our specialist defensive midfielder, and we haven't got a backup really. You might say that Matty and Sean could do a job there in Bentley, but I'm not that keen on Bentley. So if we were to sign a young talent, Conor Gallagher might be a name that might come up there for your sitting midfielder. Quite impressive stats: 9 assists and 6 goals from that position in the Championship. I think they're decent, Rob.
Yeah, I think the big difference between this lad and Calvin Phillips that we touched on earlier is that, of course, Calvin Phillips playing for Leeds. Leeds are on the up. They're ambitious. They've got Bielsa aiming for promotion this summer. Swansea I just think they're just not going anywhere. I think they're here to stay in the Championship. So looking at those stats, really good experience this season for such a young lad. I think this one could well be worth it. But then of course, do we want to stick with Hayden? That's the $1 million question. But this lad, I would certainly prefer him to Calvin Phillips. Probably less of a price tag as well.
And also, he's at Chelsea who have loads of players that are constantly out on loan. Is he ready to break in and get ahead of N'Golo Kante and Jorginho? That's not going to happen. So you'll probably have another loan spell, and it's a circle to put around. Definitely, I'll come to you for the next one, Kyle. And again, it's one that you probably haven't heard of massively, and it's a lad called Grady Diangara. God, I can barely pronounce that. You're probably thinking, who? Rob's like nodding his head thing. Yeah, I know him. He's a winger who's at West Brom on loan from West Ham. Can play right or left. And again, we've really just had that debate with the wingers getting it. I know he's on loan in the Championship and he's at West Ham, which is a Premier League side, but 6 assists, 5 goals from 22 appearances, so 1 and 2. He's involved in a goal. Again, if his value isn't great by transfer market, again, we're not going to read much into that, but it's one of them. It's a risk, isn't it?
I was going to go for any winger from the Championship, be that lad from Brentford, like Lee. He's younger. He's scored more goals. He's had more assists. He's had only 8 more appearances as well. So I'd probably go with that lad from Brentford personally. I'm trying to think if this lad played against win the FA Cup. Because
he might have been cup tied.
He could well have been. I don't think he did play. I think it was Matt Phillips that played on the wing for West Brom on the FA Cup night. He scored against with. But to be honest, I don't know much about Dian Ghana. That's a cracking attempt, if I say so myself.
Well done.
But yeah, I don't know much about the lad. I'd have to see him play. Obviously, he's a young lad. He's had a decent season at West Brom, but yeah, if I was going to go for a winger from the Championship, it would be the lad from Brentford. But as the comment says before, it's a cracking assessment. I mean, the last time we took a gamble on a Championship winger, it didn't work out for us. It didn't.
I think with the pun, everyone's starting to like the puns in the comments. But yeah, so he's apologising. Johnny is apologising for his puns because they do get a bit carried away, and Rob's the instigator on them. We've got a couple more to rattle through, and then we'll be reading your WhatsApp, and then that's a wrap. So it's 0747 649 7166. This is your last call to get your WhatsApp messages coming through, and then we'll read them out, and then we shall wrap up. But the next one is a lad called Jason Knight. Rob, do you know much about this lad?
Not so much. He's I can't say I've seen him that much this season.
He's an Irishman.
Yeah,
Irishman who plays alongside Huddlestone and Rooney. I mean, that's not bad company, is it? And again, it's a breakthrough season for the youngster. 26 appearances, 1 assist, chipped in with 4 goals. Again, we're not going to look at the value because you'll not be sold for 1.2 million, not being that young. But again, centre midfield, we've got the Longstaffs. Hopefully they sign on. So is this one that we knock off and cross off, Rob?
Yeah, I'm just not comfortable. I've seen the lad play, but not enough for me to know what I'm talking about on camera. But I think looking at those stats, it's just nothing special screams out to me. It's certainly Championship standards so far, so certainly not a move that I'd be comfortable with this year. Give it 1 or 2, maybe 3 years, who knows? But yeah, I think there are much better options out there.
I would have to agree, but he's in great company with Rooney and Huddlestone alongside him. I mean, you talk about experience and winners, and especially Rooney. We'll move on to the next.
Great players to be mentored from.
Exactly, and you might become a talent. Obviously, Ireland suffering massively, and they always seem to be pinching English B-Tech players, and this lad is fully Irish, and they could do with another world-class player because I haven't had many talents come through the Irish setup for a good while. But the last one is, and this is difficult to pronounce, Han Noah Mesengo, who's currently at Bristol City, 19 next month. He was actually on the books of Monaco last summer, and I don't know how he goes from Monaco to Bristol City. It's a bit left field. Valued quite high up by transfer market. 25 appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists. It's been described as very workmanlike, box to box, despite his stats. But again, Kyle, I'll come to you because this is one's yours. If we have the long staffs, we don't really look at centre midfield because then you've got Shelvey and Hayden, and maybe you might get rid of Bentley, you might sign him. But this lad, Masango, what do you reckon?
I haven't seen him play again, so it'd be hard for us to judge. But looking at this, the only thing I can look at is what's in front of us, and that's 0 assists, 0 goals. But for him to be in the top youngsters for stats in terms of average performances and things like that, you can't be doing too badly. So for me, I would persist with Matty, and maybe look towards some of the midfielders who have more under 23s currently, like the likes of Mo Sangare and people like that. So I would probably opt against going for the lad from Bristol City, but it's hard for us to say because I haven't seen him play, and 2, I'd prefer Matty in anyway. Just give Matty a new contract. That's all they need to do.
I totally agree.
Everyone knows how brilliant it is to play at Ashton Gate compared to Le Stade's Louis Dezol.
Stade Louis II, yeah. But that's a strange. Have you seen it where it's located? It's like literally nearly by the sea. They've got a car park underground, a stadium which can never fill. It's strange how Monaco can never fill their stadium with all the stars that they've had, and in particular the Champions League run where they went to the final. Absolutely mental. What we'll do is we've got a few WhatsApp coming through. We've got a few to rattle through. So we'll have a look at these as well. So let's share my screen. Let's get WhatsApp open as well. And we'll have a look at the first one, which is Chris in London. Cavani on a free for those wages, Kyle.
I mean, I would take him. Absolutely. He's better than what we've got up front. Was one Premier League goal from most strikers this season. I'm sure Cavani would definitely add to that. Plus, he's a good hold-up player and would suit our style of play. But whether Cavani came to Newcastle or not would depend on one thing, and that would be the takeover. And I know anything transfer related, I've had a response of if the takeover happens, then maybe we could look into that. But Cavani's a big name. He would only come to Newcastle, in my opinion, is if there's a big plan in place. We're more ambitious for sure. If under the current owner went for Cavani, you'd laugh at it, because as of right now, we're a team just happy to be in the Premier League. Until the takeover happens, that's what will remain. So if a takeover happens, I think Cavani would look and would probably want to come to a team like Newcastle. But if it doesn't, he'd be looking to go elsewhere.
His third choice playing in that central role. Sometimes he has to play out wide, doesn't he? But he'd be a hell of a coup. We've got him, even though despite his age. This one's from unknown.
He can have penalties if he comes.
Yeah, you can have them. We should get the ground and support the tune against Manchester City to create an atmosphere outside the ground with social distancing, of course. What do you think, Rob?
I think this might be just a bit too risky with social distancing in place. Can you really trust lots of like a crowd of people to stay within 2 meters of each other, especially if we're having some good news? Say if we win, for example, are we you really going to trust a huge crowd of people to not stay within 2 meters of each other? No. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea. Given the current climate, of course.
Yeah, you kind of have loads of people appearing at St James's, but then again, the protests are all doing it, so it's one of them. It's difficult.
Oh yeah, but they shouldn't. But at the same time, if you're going to organise some sort of crowd outside St James's Park, even if you have social distancing, because you don't know how many precisely are going to turn up to this, it's impossible to plan it with social distancing in place. So yeah, it's a no-go. It shouldn't happen.
I would agree on that. I'm going to answer this one because it's Sky related. So it says, for me, this is Brandon again, coming from the Netherlands, you sometimes have to watch illegal streams. That's very naughty, Brandon. Very, very naughty of you. In my opinion, Sky BN should allow people from other countries to subscribe to their services to be able to watch online. The reason why that is, Brandon, is because of UK laws. That's why. and other laws in UK, other around the world have different laws for TV broadcasting. That's why Sky are not allowed to show it outside the UK. And is it possible to watch as an international fan on Sky Sports or BN? Not 100% certain, Brandon. You'll probably know your TV rights in Holland better than us. Kyle, this one could be for you. Here are some of the players I think we should sign for the championship. If you have a look at those names, I don't know if you can say it, but did you take any of them?
Ollie Watkins, fantastic striker. He's done really well this season. He would fit the way we play, clinical in front of goal. And Brighton showed with Neil Maupay that you can sign a striker from the Championship and they'll be actually quite good. It is a risk, but out of that list, the one that shouts "sign me" is probably Ollie Watkins for sure. Fantastic striker.
Yeah, I would totally agree. This one's from Kieran, who's been messaging us tonight at Sports Direct. Opening his stores a day early. I know Johnny's just mentioned that before in the live chat. This picture was from day, typical Ashley not waiting for another day. And then obviously the officers had to go in and close the shop. Rob, this is the final one, but this is Mike Ashley in a nutshell, isn't it?
Yep. There goes Mr. Humbug. There goes Mr. Grin. If there was a prize for being mean, the winner would be him. He must be so lonely. He must be so sad. He goes to extremes to convince us he's bad. He's really a victim of fear and of pride. Look close and there must be a sweet man inside. No.
Or, if you want a translation for Rob's poetry, Mike Ashley is a wanker.
He's a dick.
Yeah.
We'll say it for you, Rob. Jane Atlanta has been listening to us rather than watching because he's been driving. Great to have you on board, Jay. If you're driving one of them trucks, give us a horn right now.
You're not even going to hear him. What's he going to comment saying he's hot? He could be typing in traffic. He's risking his life speaking to us.
Exactly. Good point, Jay. Stop typing. But, he'll probably be giggling at that as well. But everyone's saying some nice stuff, of course. We've got some fantastic videos over on the second channel. And later on this week, we're starting to build up some previews for a change, which is always going to be nice, talking about Sheffield United. So we haven't talked about that yet, but we will do because we're having a little meeting after this to discuss all of the football coming back. Again, thank you very much, Rob. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always love coming on to this. And helping out.
Thank you very much. Kylie, being in two parts, you've done a shift. Enjoyed it?
It's been alright, mate. It's filled Sunday with a couple of things to do. So as always, fantastic. But second channel, I've been working hard on that and a couple of articles. So next week, I'd stay tuned for that because there's a couple of shows coming up. Owen's got his weekly thing. The second channel's a place to be next week, and then for the main channel, all the previews and all that stuff as well. That's right, previews talking about football and not politics and takeovers and how many letters have been sent. And yeah, it's going to be nice to talk about normal things again. So stay tuned for that, everyone. It'll be a decent week, hopefully.
You know, the only places to be is us, Newcastle Fans TV, leading the way. Thank you very much, everybody. There was an advert coming up, but thank you for all your messages tonight, and we shall see you very shortly.
The Black and White Show will be with you after this short break. See you in a few minutes.
Today, we're going to talk about Amazon. We have our very own Amazon store in which you can find pretty much anything to do with Newcastle United, from shirts to pencil cases to anything you want. Lee, what have you bought from our Amazon store?
Oh, I love a good pencil case and duvet, don't I? As that's been around the internet before. No, I've got a lot of stuff, not just Newcastle stuff. I've also got a lot of tech stuff that we use, like cameras and mics from Amazon. So they do a lot of stuff on our Amazon store. But I'll probably say that my favourite is the shirts because we do a lot more range. But you can get anything. You can get literally anything from a pen to a bottle of vodka to bed sheets, you name it. Amazon has it all.
Yeah, Amazon is great for its range of products, and the best part is that we aren't giving anything to Mike Ashley and Sports Direct. Nothing Sports Direct related on that store. Sam, how brilliant is that?
Purchasing Newcastle memorabilia 100% guilt-free. Mm-hmm. That man is not receiving any of your money for your purchases on our Amazon store. I myself Love the memorabilia section. I don't know about you boys. But classic shirts from years gone by. Signed photos of Newcastle legends. Alan Shearer, Shay Given, Les Ferdinand. They're all on here. All on our Amazon store. It's a cracking find.
That's just reminded me, Sam, because I actually like car accessories as well. So I've got a lot of fresheners in my car, which are Newcastle United. Literally, my car is kitted out.
Don't tell me you can get a Newcastle United car air freshener from our Amazon store.
Yeah, not
Oh,
that
yes, you can.
several, Sam. There's loads there. So if you want your car looking nice, you're supporting Newcastle United. Just be careful where you park your car. But apart from that, it's fantastic. Get all them accessories.
Yeah, so fantastic. If you want anything, pretty much anything Newcastle United related, check out our Amazon store. Link will be in the description below. Go have yourself a gander and you might find yourself a good bargain.
Welcome back to the Black and White Show with Newcastle Fans TV.